You coming out, taking time out to come today, and that as we gather here to have some input, some communication about safety and security of our schools within the district. And as I had placed out on the announcement, we're focused on the safety and security of our kids and restoring a sense of safety to our kids. We feel that our buildings are safe, and we are taking steps and taking initiatives and implementation of strategies to increase that as well. We've got some ways to go, but we are going in that direction. So I hope over the course of the next few minutes or the time that we spend together today, that we can leave here with a greater sense of understanding of our security, and hopefully that we're going in the right direction to take care of our kids and make sure that our buildings are safe. So thank you for being here today. First thing I'd like to share with you, there's a couple of handouts for you to look at, take with you. One is going to be in particular the Shelton Park High School Emergency Procedures and Protocols that was provided to you. There's some more copies in the back if you want. There's also a U.S. Department of Education announcement for the grant that we just received as well. First, I'd like to talk about the emergency procedures that we have at the school. And I'll give you an opportunity as we talk about each one of these areas. We want to give the audience an opportunity to make comment, any questions that you may have. And certainly if there's anything that we can answer, we'll make note of that and try to get the answer back to you as soon as we can. The suggestions that participate in what we need to do to enhance and improve our security, safety of the buildings, and communication, we're all ears. We'll make that clear. The emergency procedures that we have, it looks like this. So if you take a look at it down in the lower left-hand box there, you'll find on letter E the lockdown procedures. And really, probably the reason why we're here is because of not only the escalating violence that we had at the high school recently, which we feel we've at least got some containment on that and put some measures in place that we haven't had those incidents in the last several school days. But we did have an incident last Friday that we had to initiate a lockdown. So if you look at those procedures, that'll show you what we have in place right now. And on the back is just our bomb threat drills response. This is what the high school pulls out to conduct or initiate either a real-world lockdown or the drills, the safeties that they have. And if you have a question about the number of times or the requirements of our training and of our exercise drills that we have to do at public schools, not just here but everywhere across the state, there are a required number that we have to conduct each year. Mr. Frankie Smith is here to answer any of those questions. If you look on the, I guess would be the third page and the fourth, which is the second page, front and back, and you'll see the standard 4 school culture. This is part of the procedures that Shelton Park High School have, and really it just kind of expands upon what the lockdown procedures are. As we have been in review of the lockdown that we experienced and initiated this past Friday, I'll say that some changes that we have initiated on our response, and I believe it was a community member or a parent that had recommended this, and it's a great addition, that when we do have lockdown from now on, that we will contact local law enforcement, Kentucky State Police, and our emergency medical system to have them on standby. So our EMS folks will be on standby for any lockdown, and we're going to do that'll be part of the drills as well. Of course, we like to give our law enforcement and the EMS a heads up that it is a drill before we initiate that, but it's certainly a good addition to our policies, our protocols for the lockdown and in emergency situations. We want them on standby. So we've already moving forward with that one. But do we have any questions about the protocol itself that we have, or any comments or suggestions or anything that you may have? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, on the lockdown procedures, there's nothing on here that says a time frame, like say the bullet was found Friday morning, and we all know there was a time lapse before the lockdown actually took place. There's nothing in here that says that it should be done immediately. In my opinion, it should be done immediately. Because if you give someone who may have a gun or a knife or any other weapon ample time to ride back and forth from vocational school or go up and down the hallways, they have plenty of time to use that weapon. So, in my opinion, as a parent and as a former teacher, that immediately is when, once the threat is, once it's first realized, it should be immediately. And two, something else I saw in here is, I'm sorry, it just disables me. In the lockdown procedures, the announcement on the PA, it says, teachers, please immediately lock down procedures immediately. If I had a gun and I was a teenager and I heard that, I'd jump up and start shooting. There should be something that the kids don't know. I mean, when I worked at Eaton, which was up until recently, we had a secret code that when we had our safety meetings, that if we heard this certain thing come across the intercom, we knew to start locking down, but the kids didn't know. I mean, they knew, but didn't know, you know what I'm saying? It's not like you're giving them a heads up, okay, you better do what you're going to do because we're getting ready to lock down. So I just feel like if that's what's going to be said on the intercom, that's just giving whoever's got the weapon a heads up to jump up and start, go at it. So I just feel like that's kind of a, I don't know, that's my concern.
I appreciate it. Most of these are given to us by the Kentucky Center for Safe Schools. Not that they dictate our safety, but in large part they do by regulations and things what we do. But appreciate the comments and certainly that would take into consideration.
And if I may,
yes, sir.
We do. It's going to be changed regularly. Like, okay, Mr. Appleby's in the building. It's going to be something like that I will email. I will email the teachers, and they will know. I think in the past they've used Appleby, is why I said that.
Well,
but we'll change it. Did you put that in?
No, it's been around for a while.
It's been around. Yeah. So we do have.
Told me that during the lockdown procedures on Friday.
Yes.
That
I did say we need to go into keep students in the mood and lock down.
In my mind, when he told me that, I thought, well, if there is someone hiding in there at the gun.
Right.
I mean,
and you're correct. That's the way it was Friday, but it's changed now.
Okay.
Okay, some of the strategies, some of the things that we're putting into place, that as we have, we went back and I shared with not just the high school, but all of our schools, to go back and immediately review their safety protocols and the procedures of what we do in lockdowns in particular, but in all safety and security areas. Some of the things that we're doing, one, I got in contact with the Kentucky Center for Safe Schools and the state director, John Akers, down there. I've known for years, and that he has typically, or normally I should say, safe schools assessments are conducted months out. Usually it's about a year out before safe schools will come to your district and conduct a comprehensive or even any type of walkthrough evaluation. But because that we've had some escalation of violence in our high school, the fighting, and then coupled with the incident that we had last Friday, John said that he would fast track us and get us in as a priority. So that started immediately. We're going to have a full comprehensive school safety evaluation at our high school. They'll do two schools when they come in, our high school and our middle school. It's not to rule out our elementary schools. We'll also be conducting those, but right now, to get the Safe Schools, Center for Safe Schools in here, there will be a 6-person team that's going to come in November the 12th. Now, the assessment itself began immediately. They're sending, and they start out with surveys. I believe the last one that was conducted here was 2009-2010. I think the report came in 2011, and that's when we occupied the old Sheldon Clark High School building. So what is happening now is that those surveys are being put in place. They'll be sent to the schools. There's student surveys, there's faculty and staff surveys, community surveys. And then, again, the 6-person team will be coming to conduct a comprehensive safety and security evaluation of both the middle school and the high school in November. Secondly, we were very fortunate and blessed to receive, right on time, I couldn't have been at a better time, Mr. Paul Baker, our district grant writer, wrote a grant, began writing a grant several months ago. And we got notification that we were awarded that grant, one of only 4 districts in the state of Kentucky, just this past Tuesday. We got awarded that. And that's a $1.5 million grant, and it's specific to a school climate transformation. And that involves our safety and security. And what it does, it's a program that will help us improve the capacity of our administrators and our teachers, our faculty and staff for the climate, the safety. It's going to provide our teachers with some intensive training in conflict resolution and de-escalation, classroom management, student engagement, pro-social interactions. So it will also help us put on staff more counselors, because what we're seeing more often, especially as this year progresses, and really in society today, is our kids need intervention. Especially, we want to try, rather than responding to crisis, we would like to position our schools, and position our faculty and staff in our district ahead of that by implementing and initiating intervention strategies. And certainly this grant's going to allow us to do that. We're going to have more counselors, even school psychologists possibly, and some RTI specialists. And really it's based on positive behavioral intervention support strategies and personnel that's going to come in. That'll be over the next 5 years. It's released at about $300,000 a year. So it couldn't have come at a better time, and our kids need that, and our community needs it as well. I also provided you a handout. It was a press release from the U.S. Department of Education that came out. Again, we're very fortunate to be one of the 4 in the state of Kentucky that received that. Thirdly, our school surveillance. I'd like to speak a little bit about that. Over the last 2 years, or I can speak to when I got here, we have, up until currently, we put about $24,000 into our surveillance systems at all of our schools. Just 2 days ago, we installed, and which was, it's currently, and it has been ongoing, our cameras since the beginning of the year have, anytime you have a lightning storm, strike, or whatever, it kind of just puts all your electronics out of whack. But so it's a constant basis of trying to keep and checking on them. Our cameras and our systems, make sure they're operational each and every day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So we just added 2 more cameras. And again, it's just a consistent process of evaluation, making sure, do we need to move cameras? Do we need to change the angle of the cameras? Do we need more cameras? What we don't like to do in particular, I mean, you can see where the cameras are if you're in the building, but we really don't advertise where these cameras are. I'll also let you know that in a central location, the program allows a central command unit or a central place to view those camera systems. For instance, we have a Safe Schools coordinator for the district, Mr. Craig Grayson. He can sit down at his computer and access every school in the district just via the cameras. And in case of a real-world incident, that becomes very, very valuable to law enforcement and others who are first responders, because those camera systems will be on in the buildings, and you don't have to send somebody in the building necessarily to see what the threat is or what the situation is. So our camera systems, we're continuing to improve those. We're adding camera systems. We're working on, right now, currently installing camera systems at Warfield Elementary. Is that correct, Larry?
Yes.
Warfield Elementary is being worked on now, upgraded and added. And again, the Warfield Elementary is probably one of the oldest systems that we have, so we're upgrading those. Handheld radios. We are looking at how many handheld radios that we have just on a normal day-to-day basis for our communication, and really the biggest area of that is in our transportation, so that our building leadership can communicate with the buses as we're transporting, dropping off, and picking up students. Also during the school day, whether the school leadership needs to keep in contact with custodial staff, some of the school administrators that are in the building from the office, whether it be for the attendance clerk or whoever. But we do have handheld radio communication support in our schools, and that are connected to, that can be connected to and picked up by local law enforcement and such procedures as well. That's an area that we are exploring and how to improve that, because many of our communications in our schools are confined to that area, meaning they may have just walkie-talkies that are two-way communication. So we're reassessing that as well. One of the other school surveillance strategies that we have employed, and again, a safety team meeting, we brought together the community to include local law enforcement. Our county attorney was present. We had our court designated worker that was present. We had student voice that was present, and several of the district administrators as well as the high school leadership met last week, and this was before the Friday incident, but really prepared us for the next day. So again, it was just, it was good to be able to try to get in front of that incident and how to respond to it Friday. But we have got support from our local law enforcement that have a presence in our schools, especially in the mornings. And over the period of the next 5 to 10 or more school days, we'll have law enforcement present, especially during those times where most of the student movement is happening, and transportation. That's going to be in the morning and in the afternoon. But we've got assurances from Garmin and his folks over there that they'll do the random drop-bys, and whether it's to sit down and eat lunch in the school, but just having a show of force and a presence, not just for the students, but for the faculty and staff and for our community, that we're serious about our safety and our security. And so we appreciate that from our local law enforcement. Garmin, we appreciate that being a friend of education. Also, our Kentucky State Police, I've extended that to them as well. And of course, their post is in Ashland and Pikeville, but they have extended their support and what they can do to help us give our community, or restore our community again, a sense of safety and security in our buildings and around our buildings. We also did some personnel changes within the high school to improve familiarity with our building and also with our students, with the faculty and staff. We've also initiated some professional development training for our faculty and staff. The Kentucky State Police, court-designated worker, our local law enforcement, they've all offered the training to our faculty and staff for conflict resolution, emergency response procedures. Kentucky State Police have also offered, as we did last year at the middle school, have offered to come in to provide some small group training or skills offering to our students, especially in small groups or by classes, whether it's about freshman class or sophomore class or as a student body. But the smaller we can get those groups, the better the training is, the more effective it is. Also for our students, the court-designated worker has offered to provide and coordinate family life care services to come in, especially for small group conflict resolution, soft skills or life skills for our kids, interventions, how to respond to conflict, how to respond to social media that is out there, the school violence or community violence for that matter. Again, Kentucky State Police, and also counselors. We have one counselor at the high school, but we can always pull counselors from other areas if we need that added support. We have a school psychologist as well who's been very important to our de-escalation, conflict resolution, and giving some ideas and strategies on how to respond to these incidents. And then, not only for faculty, staff, and students, but for the community. What I asked after Friday's incident on Monday, if you went to our website, you'll see a link that was posted there to the Kentucky Center for Safe Schools for the community, and there is just a wealth of information that you can get from that site. And we're using a lot of that as well. Our protocols and our procedures really are derived from the Kentucky Center for Safe Schools. So that's available for our community. These types of forums are always helpful for us to get input from the community to help us better serve our kids and our faculty and staff in our buildings and our campuses. And also, through this grant, we're going to be able to do some more community involvement, whether they be forums or ad hoc committees or a safety and security task force that we can bring together in our community to make sure that our policies are covering all those areas and the suggestions that have already been made. We want to consider those. No one person has got all the answers, and certainly there's no one answer for what we're faced with today in our schools and with our kids. And lastly, I'd like to say the policies and procedures, I've already touched upon that once. The first thing that we did because of last week's incident, and in any incident really, is you immediately go back and make sure that you reviewed all of your policies and procedures and protocols. Did we implement what those instructions were and what we practiced? If we didn't, what did we put into place to make sure that we did? And any additions that we need to do. And one I've already shared with the audience, and that is notification of our emergency medical system, and Kentucky State Police and local law enforcement will be contacted to respond to not only our real-world incidents, but we want to involve them in our drills as well.
Well, it was my understanding that Kentucky State Police and the Martin County Sheriff Department was involved Friday.
Yes, they were.
That's what the call said that we got.
Yes, they were. Yes.
Okay, I do have a question about that. What time was the bullet found? And was it just one bullet or was there more?
I can, the report, the final report is not completed yet.
So you can't answer that?
No, I'm gonna try, I'm just saying that the final report is not completed yet. We still have to close it out with the Kentucky State Police to give us their report. And when we do that, then it will be available to the board. It'll be available for whatever, well, first I should say it will go to our board attorney for legal to make sure that everything in it can be released if it's an open, subject to open records, especially when it involves the safety, security, and surveillance of the buildings. And what you don't want to do necessarily, this is why you should not find, when you go to any website, for example, you shouldn't find floor plans of any school. You're not going to find floor plans of a bank, of a school. You shouldn't find those floor plans because if somebody's going to inflict some kind of terror or pain on someone, they're going to find out what their surveillance is, where the cameras are, what the floor plans look like, what the hiding places are look like. So you don't want to diminish your security and open up a weak point for someone to come in and cause harm. But here's
Was the bullet found in the bathroom?
Yes,
In the boys'
and I
bathroom?
can say that the bullet was found at approximately 7:40. It was found in the boys' bathroom. Now at that time, there's only movement, free movement to that one for bathrooms, to that one bathroom.
Okay, what time was the lockdown? What
Okay.
time did it take place?
I can say that the bullet was found at 7:40. The lockdown was initiated at 9:15.
And they had already went to the vocational school after that. How did
See,
you know that
that
dog
is-
wasn't at the vocational
That's
school?
our concern as
Yes, ma'am.
parents, because
Well,
all
I'm
our
gonna-
students, all of our children are in the school. When they found the bullet, this is my opinion, I'm not here to disrespect anybody, I'm here concerning my child
Yes,
and my
ma'am.
grandchildren,
Yes.
because everybody deserves respect. But you have to take in consideration, it was found at 7, I don't know what, 7:14, 7:15. They didn't have it shut down till 9. All the students were there, they were sitting ducks, and it was just like a false alarm. But we have that what if as parents, I don't know, that what if, and we have a great investment. We love our children. We are taxpayers. We want the best for our kids. I want the best for my grandkids. I have an investment in this county. This is my home. And I think my children, everybody's children here, deserve a safe trip to school while they're learning and when they come home. And I'm not being smart. I mean, this is my
I
concern.
agree.
And I have very intelligent, everybody here's got intelligent kids. They were scared. This is another thing. I have a daughter that goes, and when I asked her, I said, Sissy, what scared you so bad? She said, we were locked down, we had no lunch, I'm at the vocational school, and she said, I'm praying, Lord, I have to go to church more. See, nobody told them. These are soon-to-be adults going out in the world. This is just a spark of what they're going to face when they go to college or when they're out in the world. She would have felt better. Now, this is what she told me, and she's an average student. She's just like anybody's kid here. She said, if they had come in and said, okay, something's a little off, by law, we are required to lock down, but everything's okay, the day would have went on wonderful. But I don't know, but I heard a couple of kids had panic attacks in fear. See, because we were so unorganized. And we are overcrowded. There's a lot of students there. So we need to get some sort of system to protect everybody's children. Don't you agree?
Yes. Well, my son
You
is
say that you
here.
had a meeting the day before and that prepared you for what went on Friday. If what went on Friday was prepared, I'm really thankful you weren't prepared. Because to me, it wasn't. I mean, if you wait that long to lock down school,
Yeah,
you find an
it's
assault
more
rifle
dangerous.
bullet, and kids were, I let my son in after 7:40. I feel like I let my son into a danger zone.
That's what I do. I feel
I looked at
guilty.
the clock, I do too.
Well, I do
I
too.
looked at the
Mine
clock
was
when
a
I let him
drop-off
off
to
that day, and it
10
was a little past 7:40, and because we worry about him getting to being tardy. And I feel like, if I let him in there, and whoever's in charge there, if it, Dr. Laney, Mr. Smith, or whoever is in charge of what goes on safety-wise at that school, I feel like as a parent that I was helpless to the fact because the people that I trust to take care of my kid that day let us down and our kids down by letting them in that school.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's just a safety issue. They could have sat on the buses or wherever the children were at before they came into the school. They could have sat there, and this is my opinion. I'm not here to disrespect anybody. But my opinion, they could have sat there and said, okay, we're assessing the situation, we're locking it down, And then a couple hours, you feel, okay, this is just a little inkling thing. Then let them go continuous life as normal. But that, to me, that was very dangerous. I mean, it didn't happen, but it could have been worse. You see what I'm saying? I'm not being disrespectful.
Why wasn't there any law enforcement at the vocational school?
I'm sorry?
Why was there no law enforcement at the vocational school? That's part of the high school, they should have been there too. You had no idea who brought the bullet at that time, or where the child was at that brought it. Law enforcement should have been up there too, those kids are important too.
Well, they took 2 kids out from there too, vocational school, but them kids up there, they said, they ain't worth watching them.
Mr. Meadows, I myself am a senior at Sheldon Clark, and I
So
was
that-
at vocational school the day of the lockdown, and the sheer terror that me and my fellow students felt that day was just uncomparable, because we didn't know what was going on at first. No one had told us. When we discovered the bullet had been found, we didn't know if the gunman was at vocational school with us. The lunch factor was a major problem, because a girl in my class has diabetes, and her sugar was getting very low. And I was worried about her. I'm getting emotional right now. But, I was very worried about her, and we didn't know what was going to happen. And frankly, I would like to know, first of all, has the student been identified who did all this? Do you know who it is?
No, they came back the next day.
Yeah, and they were released back into school on Monday. So,
They're not
I mean, personally, I myself would like to know, just so I know who to trust, because at school, I don't feel safe, like around my friends, around my associates, people I pass in the hallway. I just don't feel comfortable in that school in my senior year, really.
Would you have felt better if somebody said, okay, this is, that we found something a little off color, we have to lock down by law, would you have felt better?
But they would be organized to know what to do.
Yeah.
They could order those kids
But
food.
would you have felt better? Even if this was a mess up, this is a mess up. If one of your educators says, okay, we seen something off color, we're required by law to lock down, would you have felt better?
I would have felt better, yes.
That's it, that's
But
what I
his
asked
main
my
point
daughter.
is, he would like to know now, do they know
Yeah.
who done it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've heard yes, and then I've heard no, so can you tell us what's
Kentucky State
that?
Police conducted the investigation, and when,
But you can't say yes or no that you do know who's responsible, and that's my question.
They don't,
Based-
they don't know.
They don't.
They don't know?
Is that-
Okay, thank you, sir, I just wanted a yes
They
or
do
no
not
answer.
know. And you've had since Monday I met with you Monday, had several questions. Have you discovered why the principal or the chief of that school did not notify you, or why there was not a lockdown and implemented at 7:40 when the bullet was found? Can you answer that yet? You've had ample time.
as I said, the bullet was found at 7:40. And the notification, when these threats happen, in any threat, you continually and consistently reevaluate what the threat is. It never ends. I mean, once you identify a threat, or when it comes to your attention, the assessment of that threat never ends. It changes, but it never ends.
Mr. Meadows, we're not here for you to beat around the bush. You did that Monday. We're here for direct answers. We have direct questions. We want direct answers, and we deserve that. We are parents of the children that attend the school you are supposedly superintendent of. So we expect answers from you
I am the
today.
superintendent, and
Okay.
it's my
Well,
responsibility.
we don't want you beating around the bush. We want answers today. That's why we're here. That's why we were here on Monday, but we did not get any answers on Monday.
And so once the threat is identified, there's a threat present, you, in any discretion, and I want to use your example, that something's found, I think you said it's something not right, or something out of the ordinary, or something.
Off color.
From that point, it's, okay, how big or large is that threat? Is it going to get bigger? Do we have it confined? Do we have it limited? I mean, it's an assessment, and it never stops until someone who is in charge of that investigation or on scene makes a determination that it is now clear and it's safe. Between those two periods, a lot of reevaluation happens. And when law enforcement is on scene, it matters not whether it's well, It matters not what the situation is, was a fire, accident, wreck, whatever. When you have law enforcement or fire chief usually trumps everybody, they're the ones that's in charge. They're the ones that's running it. Now, having said that, that person and the leadership of the school in this particular incident continually assess the threat of whatever was found. In this case, the leadership of that school and law enforcement immediately began determining what's the threat here? What's the limitations of the threat?
And were you notified as soon as they found the bullet?
So if you had a child that had a machine gun and was shooting everybody, you'd have to wait for
Well,
law enforcement to decide that that was a threat? Most of the time where there's a bullet, there's a gun.
I have a comment. I think when the threat is, when it is made known, I don't think there should be a thought, is this a small threat or is this a large threat?
Well,
I
how
think
much more of a
automatically
threat?
it should be assumed that it is a major threat and it should be escalate as you do your assessment.
Depending upon what the threat is. I mean, it's
How much more of a threat did you want that day, Mr. Meadows? There was a bullet to an assault rifle
It depends
found.
upon the threat, and in this case, let's confine it to, there was an unspent shell, a rifle bullet found. So the evaluation or determination of what that threat is made by those who find, or who it's reported to. And the people that they reported that to immediately began to assess the threat of that, and that determination was made. Who put it in there? So steps immediately began put in place. Who brought it? Who found it? Where did they find it? And
They immediately
who could
began,
have
but you wasn't notified till 9
who could have
something?
taken that bullet in there and placed it on the shelf? Now, how long did that process take before we did a lockdown? Well, it took from 7:40 or to 7:45 when the leadership of the school knew the bullet was happening until they locked down.
Yes, but why, after they found it at 7:40, why did they let the kids keep coming in?
This is our
They
question.
should have
This is
stopped.
our question.
I was there and
The determination was not made what go into lockdown.
they found it, they should have said, well, we found something at school, so, take your kids on back home.
Who
Don't let them
determines
out.
that?
I'm just saying that
Who determines that?
whoever's in charge, I mean, whether it's school leadership or whether it's law enforcement,
Yeah, yeah.
it's going to be one or the other.
Okay, well, from 7:40 until 9 something, I think KSP arrived at 10 something.
It was at, it was 10:30 because I saw him go on the
Well, you never
Yeah,
know when they're
11:30
going to show up.
So ultimately, it was left up to school personnel to initiate and implement lockdown procedures. Is that correct, Mr. Meadows?
No.
Yes or no? Okay,
No,
okay.
that's not correct.
It was found at 7:40. Who else was there in order to have made that decision if it wasn't left up to your school personnel at 7:40?
The bullet was brought to our school leadership, and between the school leadership and law enforcement, that determination was
So are you
made.
trying to,
So what are you in there
Are you
for
trying to put
then?
it off on him now that you guys didn't look?
Okay, well, let me, I'm not putting it on anyone. I'm just saying that the protocol, listen, the protocol, if you'll read, we followed the protocol. And we're not here to, I appreciate the partnership we get from local law enforcement. We've always had, the friendship that we have, the understanding, the working relationship that we have. If there was, what we're here to do is try to improve our procedures and policies. We want to make it as safe as we possibly can so that we can address anything, any deficiencies in our safety. We want to do that. But local law enforcement and the school leadership
I think the
received
local
the
law enforcement is
ammunition.
one to speak now.
If it be all right with you, I can explain my part. If it all right with you. If you want to
I'm
speak
yes,
into
sir.
that. Right here was exactly what happened. I was sitting in the gym, and a girl brought me around to the principal. The principal handed me money. They found that 7:40, nothing. If you're gonna listen to me, I talk, you don't, I will sit there. Now here what happened. This girl brought the gun to the principal.
Not gun.
Her bullet, her name.
Yeah.
Bullet.
Calm down.
Her name was Pam, I'll tell you. And then he handed it to me. Now this time, she came from the bathroom, around to the gym. few minutes later, went out, what time, I don't know. They said they found the bullet around 7:40. I know when we received it, the bell rang. Then I wanted to know who used that bathroom. And we talked to one of the janitors. He said he was in there, he cleaned the bathroom, he wiped the counter down, he cleaned the mirrors. It was not there. I want to know who used that bathroom between when he got there and when it was found. When we watched the video, and we knew there were 8 kids that used the bathroom, 2 more found the bullet. That's where we're at. If we made a mistake, we made a mistake. We got what we got. We're here today. We want to fix the problem. Let's fix it for the future. I cannot go back and change what I've done. I can't go back and change what the school done. Can't have it. But if y'all want to sit here and talk civil and try to fix the future, we can. But if we want to holler and blame, we can't fix anything.
That's right.
And that's where we're at.
Well, I don't feel like it was your responsibility to lock down the school. You were there to help the school. I feel like it was the school administration should step in there and lock it.
Well, I didn't ask the school.
Who is the school administrator?
It was my fault, I can take it, but I did not ask them to lock it down. My mind works like this. I want to know who used that bathroom. I want 2 things I want to find out. Who brought it and why. That's what I want to know.
That's what we want to know as parents.
Who's in the chain of command? Can you, I need layman terms. I need to know
When
who.
law enforcement was on scene, they are.
Well, I'm talking about when you found the bullet in the school. This is a school issue. You know, they only know what to do when we call.
No, he was there.
But he wasn't there on the call, was he?
Let's say in
He
another.
was
But Mr.
there.
Meadows,
He
he
was
is not
already in the
aware of your policies and procedures about lockdown measures.
You don't have policies like those in chain of command? This is what I'm wanting to know.
Yes.
Okay, hang on
Don't
a
use
second.
him as an scapegoat.
I asked Garmin, the other day, if you put the school on lockdown, and you said you didn't have the authority.
Right. First I know I did, and
Okay.
I didn't think about
Okay,
it.
which is something that we need to change in that when something like that is found, the police come there and they're in charge. I mean, they come there in charge. I mean, Garmin,
Was assuming
it's
like
like-
anyone else would, that the school personnel was in
We
charge.
need
well,
to
if you
have chain
had,
of command.
if you had a murder, God forbid and everything, you wouldn't wait till administrators and stuff come around and stuff, well, you could do this and do this. No, the police take charge. When they found the bullet, I think, the school policy should be, if you find a threat, law enforcement comes in and they're in charge. Because they know how to handle it. Teachers don't, not knocking teachers, not knocking principals and things like that. But Garmin or the Kentucky State Police and everything would know how to assess a danger, and from that point on, they're in control.
Okay.
They lock the school down, that means nobody in, nobody out.
My
You
question
got
is,
buses that show up, they go on,
my question is, I'm confused. Okay, say he wasn't there. Say he was not there. Now, I'm not gonna lay this at his feet. Say he was not there. An educator finds a bullet or a gun. What are the procedures to have a lockdown, to lock it down? Who calls
Who's in
Mr.
charge?
Meadows? Who calls, you see what I'm talking
Yes.
about? An emergency
There's a breakdown
manager,
of
basically.
communication.
We got a new.
Let's say that in that scenario, that
Okay,
law
yeah,
enforcement, whether it's local or government or state, law enforcement is not there, and that's normal circumstances.
Yeah.
If they're not there, if
Analysis.
somebody finds a gun, let's use that because it's,
Yeah,
nobody argue about it.
yeah.
There's gonna be lockdown procedures, and the principal or the administrator will get on the intercom and announce lockdown procedures now.
Okay.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts. When we start playing the what if, well, what if someone brought a shank? What if somebody brought a bullet? What if somebody brought a X, Y, and Z? You start getting into discretion and how do you assess it? I mean, somebody brought me a gun and said, I found this in the bathroom. It doesn't take a whole lot of assessment to determine what a threat is.
Well, we don't have to do what
But they
if
need
this actually
procedures, that's
happened
what
on
I'm saying.
Well,
Monday. We need to focus on the mistakes that was made
Yeah.
instead of trying to.
We are,
Yeah.
we are.
And we need
What we don't want to do
take
is begin
measures to
blaming
improve.
one another, but who should have done this, who
You
should
know,
have done
it's
that.
well, you only do what you know to do, right, Carmen? You only know to do what you know to do. You only know to do what you're taught.
I thought we did very well. The state police said that we did everything we were supposed to do when they got there. We did everything. Garmin said the same thing, and we're all.
I don't.
Most parents, and I'm gonna
Except
tell
going
you for
to
me,
the trade school, nobody was up there to protect them.
that's what, the most parents
Nobody.
with the time frame. This is what they're
I mean, as
concerned
long as they got
with. I
counted,
know
somebody should have been there.
It's a time frame. This is.
We messed
That's
up.
my next issue. They did, and they need to admit
They won't admit
it.
it, but they messed up.
Exactly.
If somebody gets killed, it's too late to be
That's
messing
right.
up then.
But can we get
Why
emergency
did they wait so long
management?
before they called the state police?
Can we get?
Why
that
wasn't the KFC and the emergency people there?
Emergency management.
They found out by Louise in Lawrence County.
Donetta might have good ideas. Gary, anybody here? I mean, get an emergency in case we find a little something. Do this, case, you know, we gotta look ahead. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. My dad has told me that all my life. What if does count.
Case, okay, case here, 911, your coordinator said he found out about it. When he got a Lawrence County, a call from Lawrence County 911 wanting to know if we needed assistance.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why we're all here. Someone dropped the ball. We need to communicate who dropped the ball. We need to ensure these children and the parents of these children that they're safe. My daughter's been out all week. I came here today for you to ensure me that she is safe attending Martin County School District. She's missed 5 educational days.
Well, I think there's certainly a lot of things to learn we could do differently, but I'm confident that without the benefit of hindsight, I believe our school leadership did what they were supposed to do under those circumstances. I firmly believe that.
Okay, the bullet was found at 7:40, and it wasn't
And it
what
was
you're
given to
calling
law
lockdown
enforcement.
until
When
9
that bullet, when
something.
that weapon, that threat was given to law enforcement, we do whatever they say.
But in all fairness to Garmin said he couldn't lock the school down. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's not, and Garmin and I talked about this, Garmin and I didn't sit down and say, okay, who's responsible here?
But
But I think you did say in the meeting
Well, I'm just
on
going by
Monday.
protocol, ma'am. I didn't make that up.
I understand
I'm just
that.
saying when law enforcement's on scene, they're in charge.
I understand that, but I also know that you said on Monday that school personnel that's in that building, I think you was calling it campus on Monday, but any school personnel that's there has the authority to lock the building down. If someone else is not locking the building down and they feel like there's a threat, they have the authority to lock the building down.
Well, not when law enforcement is there.
Well, okay, hang on a second. That's what's not clear. Garmin, did you know that you had the authority to lock it?
If I had the authority, I know it now, and next time, it'd be locked down as soon as I get on site.
But what we're saying is you didn't know it then, did you?
At that time, I didn't know it, but
That-
next
so
time, this is what we're here for.
Transparency too.
This is what we're here for, fix it.
Yeah,
I'm like superintendent, I pray
yeah.
that nothing's happened, like anybody get hurt, but if it does, we need to be ready, and we're gonna be different.
Yeah, I'm not blaming nobody here, I just wanna get fixed.
And I will
I'm
make-
not here to argue, I'm here to,
Well,
let's work.
In the future, I'm talking about the future.
Yeah,
Can't do anything about Friday,
yeah.
it's already done.
And Mickey's got a question.
In the future.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. I would like to know if there has been any discussion on the hiring of a very student-friendly guard to be placed at the high school
Yeah, that's a good idea.
for events such as not only this, but your escalation of fights that are happening there.
It's my understanding
Has there
there
been
was
any
2 there
discussion?
today.
To your knowledge, sir? Has
Yeah,
there been
there's
any
been some
discussion?
discussion. Yeah. Yes, there has been some discussion on what, I think like an SRO, a school resource officer or something like that. Yes.
Should a portion of that grant that
We-
you got be used for
That
that?
could be a possibility. I don't know if the grant allows it, but it's certainly a possibility, but we could look at that as well. I do know we made some personnel changes that we have fortunately have on staff some folks who have actually the skill sets to do that.
Can you
What
tell
you're
us what
describing.
type of skill sets that is and what
Law
type of
enforcement,
training?
law enforcement
They have
training,
law
current
enforcement
law enforcement training, absolutely, yeah. Familiarity with our kids, you know, a lot of it is intervention. You know, our faculty and staff, our teachers, you know, principals, administrators. Frankie knows this, he's out there at the, he's the face of that school in the morning and throughout the halls. His familiarity with kids, their attitudes, their character, if they're changing, if there's something different or it's not normal of their behavior. The more adults that we have that build those types of relationships with our kids, we can detect that, provide some intervention immediately. For example, you know, certainly any coach in a school is going to know their kids very well. They know their attitudes, their character, their behaviors, and they know when something's not right. And they talk. So that's what we're trying to provide in the school building, is building of those relationships with adults and the students. Right now we do have, and you know, an uphill climb. We've got some challenges to restore the sense of safety and security and trust from, number one, the priority is the kids first. Then our faculty and staff. Our faculty and staff also, and I've used Nina so many times, Mickey, she's not here, but she knows. You know, I've got a teacher that weighs $110 soaking wet. So, you know, but as a school administrator or just as a school leader, you know, when somebody's getting in a fight, I'm expecting the adults in the building, faculty, staff, whoever it is, custodian, whoever it is, to try to break up the fight. Well, about 2 years ago, I believe it was down in Knott County, I may be wrong on that, but there was a teacher who actually tried to do that, got hit in the head, he laid in a coma and he died. Yeah. That was only about 2 years ago. Yeah. So when we define policies and procedures about what we expect of our faculty and staff, I have to be very careful because I certainly don't want them getting hurt either. So we want to, that's why we're doing the training and the professional development for our faculty and staff by professionals, whether that be Kentucky State Police or others. But we certainly want to keep everybody in the building as safe as we possibly can. The biggest challenge that I have before me now is figuring out the strategies that will return the sense of safety and security to our kids first, to our faculty and staff, and to our parents, the people who are in the building and the people who are sending their kids to the building.
I have a suggestion, I'll shut my mouth. You kind of piqued my interest when you said communication, a little hand. Why can't the janitors and
we don't have any.
And the educators? Because now I'm gonna tell you something. I have to commend Sheldon Clark. We have some good educators because I've dealt with them for the last 4 years. I have not had any problem. Why can't they? The lines of communication. I'm going to use coal miner talk. They float each other out. Yeah. When we have a lunch, they've got the handheld device. They can see what's going on, and even our janitors, the kitchen. That's a good idea, I think, because I noticed Willow May Preston. It's a great school, but they have lines of communication all the time. You know, and I know they're grade school kids, but it's something we need with our students, don't you think? I mean, the teachers, the educators, the janitors, and if you've got that line of communication going on, they see an argument, you've got 3 or 4. Hey, we've got something starting here. Come out. You see what I'm getting at?
Yes, that's one of the things that I mentioned earlier. We're looking at the radios, and we need to increase it at the high school.
I think that would be wonderful.
We're purchasing, Mr. James O'Bear is purchasing the walkie-talkies, but we also have the radios that could be used that communicate with law enforcement, EMS. And,
yeah, it would stop. I mean, it could stop so many issues, I think.
Well, the other strategy is very, very cheap and simple. Is again, I'm going back to Nina because I told her, I said, I'm going to get you a whistle and put it around your neck. Really, I mean, you blow a whistle. If I can go over there in that building, there may be 580 kids in that hallway, and changing classes, crowded, noisy. But if you stand and blow a gym whistle that your coach blows, people are going to stop. They're going to know where that comes from. So that type of communication, that type of response. Those things are going to help us, and that's what we're working towards.
You need that communication. You need the transparency. And I tell you, and this is another thing. I understand you can't tell everything. I know that because my brother's an attorney and he's told me all about it. But there's some things that you can reassure us as parents, as taxpayers. You know, it's a little off, I don't like it, but this is what we got to do. Yeah. You know, be more, I mean, I'm not here to jump onto you or tell you, you know, I'm just suggesting, I'm a parent and a grandparent. But I think the lines of communication have to be more open with Mr. Priest here, he's our sheriff. you as an educator, our educators, the board members, and if everybody was more transparent and not like, you're just here to jump onto me, which I know everybody's got jumped onto the last little while, I've seen it. But I want to fix things, because I'm going to die.
Thank you.
I want to fix things.
Yes.
I don't want to cause trouble, because when I get angry and when I get mad, I can't learn anything. You get flustered, but I'm here to fix it. I'm here to fix it.
It would behoove the school to use certified CPI instructors to teach the teachers how to deal with crisis intervention, because even though state police and Garmin, you all do your training, but you don't do crisis intervention training for the layperson.
Yes, I believe our CEW is bringing that.
Yes, they need to
We
be
did it.
people who, they need to be people who can do interventions with the least amount of force.
Let Coach.
A couple of things, as far as communication goes, I agree 1,000% in that it would be nice if we all had walkie-talkies. You know what it is? They all text me.
Yeah.
Coach Smith, I got an incident down here, can you come down to my room?
But-
Or I think these two girls are about to fight. Or I heard another girl say this, or another, most times it's girls, say this, or a guy say this. So when that happens, myself and Mr. Goldwell, we go immediately get him, I bring him to Kim Smith, we sit down with him, we do our
I
best
understand.
to intervene.
But
We
hey,
we aren't always successful, but we do our best.
Well-
But I would love, I think that's a
what,
great
because see, the
idea.
texting, I know I have a cell phone.
Right.
Sometimes somebody texts me and I don't get it, but if you had it on your pocket, like
Yeah.
he carries
Oh,
one.
that'd
If you
be
had
great.
it there, the kids is gonna know, uh-oh, you know how kids go, oh, better not, they got the radio, they're gonna concentrate, because it's a short run.
Yeah.
See, I know Swilla May, I know she's great, but I really admire her, and I like what she's stern, but our children are safe. I feel comfortable. My grandkids are going to Eden Elementary. I really do. I have to commend that school. They have the learning tools, they have the educators, and my grandkids are excelling. I've got a 7-year-old that can read better than me, and he's happy, he feels safe. That's what I want for our high school. That's what I'd like to see. What everybody here, not have to worry.
And dealing with your question, from our leadership meeting that we had last Thursday, and everybody was in on it, Terry Simpson and she and I worked with Mountain Comp, and they came in yesterday, and we brought every freshman girl in different 30 at a time approximately, and she told me, I don't want you in here, I don't want anybody in here but me with the girls. And she did conflict resolution type things, and to my knowledge, I know she hit every freshman girl that was at school yesterday, went through the program. And then I know she moved on to sophomores and juniors as much as she could possibly get. So we are trying to do things that we can help with conflict. Because here's what happens, and let's just be honest with you.
What I'm referring to is for the staff.
Oh,
CPI training for the
we can do
staff.
that. That's a great idea too. And we
Because
do.
that is what they need.
We
And
also
we
do,
it on the psych unit because it is crisis intervention.
Yes.
It's prevention.
Yes.
And then if you have to intervene, you have to know the maneuvers to intervene with the least amount of force possible.
Oh, we have that training with Charles Sloan before the school year. We do a 2-hour training. It's part of our professional
Is he
development.
certified CPI?
Yes, ma'am. I don't know the proper term CPI. He's certified, yes.
Yes, he is.
And he even went for recertification in Louisville about 2 weeks ago.
Yes, it's CPI.
I mentioned a moment ago our Kentucky Education Development Cooperative, our cooperative up here in Ashland. We scheduled, Miss Dina James is scheduling that. They're coming down here to do that for our faculty staff. That's part of the professional development. They are certified, they're qualified to do that training.
And one other thing is, I'm sorry.
One thing Chalice has never taught me how to do is get girls to let go of hair. Other than that, we're doing a good job.
Would you like me to show you? I can do that. I'm certified in CPI.
Teach me how to do that.
I can show you. You can't really get them to let go.
Right, I can beg them.
Pulling the hair out.
Yeah, I'll try my best. Teach me that after this, please.
I can show you that. But my other thing is, and then I will be quiet, is like any policy and procedure that the school has that would entail maybe the law enforcement having to intervene and come. Should you all not share those with Gorman and with his faculty so that they know what their role should be?
Yeah, I don't think
in
there
the
should be any
process?
question. I think if law enforcement comes in, once they come into
But he
school,
needed to know that in advance that his.
they need to know that advance. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that Garmin didn't, well, it's not Garmin's fault, it's not Garmin's fault.
Yes, no.
But it should be, once police are called in, they handle everything.
Why can't
I mean, the principal don't say, well, I don't think we should do this. It's
Why
up to you.
can't our
He didn't know
procedure
that.
for our lockdown,
Exactly.
as soon as
That's
the
what I'm
threat
saying.
is realized or seen, why can't a school administrator go ahead and lock down the school, and when
That's what she
police
said.
officers get there, they can determine
sometimes
whether
they
it's
do
a
that,
threat, a small threat, a large threat, and then they release the lockdown.
Then like.
But it should be immediate upon the notification of the threat.
Well, see, I asked Garmin, and that was just, I wasn't trying to be, why were kids still coming into the school?
Yeah, that's
That's what we want to know.
But
and
someone
Garmin
in
said, I
the
don't-
school knew it before Garmin.
You mean after the lockdown?
Yeah, after the lockdown.
Anybody that came in after the lockdown, after the lockdown?
Yes.
After the lockdown. Yeah, there was.
And that was a called lockdown?
Yes.
Well, the call,
I don't know why kids were leaving
yeah,
after
okay, at
Was
9,
it 9:45?
Someone came in after the
Yeah.
lockdown?
Yes.
yeah.
Anybody that, I did see about 5 or 6 kids that when they did come in, I don't remember exactly when they came in the building, but we had them in the teacher's lounge, so we did not have them in the hallways.
Don't
That's still in the
matter.
building though.
They were
Yes, ma'am,
allowed.
but I'm just trying to say, to my knowledge, that's news to me.
If it had
That
been
after
my
we
kid, I
went
would have been very
lockdown,
upset.
that after we went lockdown, that we buzzed people in. That's
Especially
not-
if you
That's
knew
new
about it.
knowledge to me.
If there was janitors, there was HVAC personnel that actually left school grounds.
Mhm.
And if they were there all day from the time period of 7:40, and some threats are not caused by the students, it could be an
Well, there was
adult.
a parent, there was a parent showed up and saw some of the other parents who was outside the school, didn't know what was going on, didn't know that these parents couldn't get in. And the parent let her child out, and she went into the school.
Was escorted into the school by Mr. Meadows at
See,
9:45.
that shouldn't
Well, it
be.
wasn't
No,
escorted. Let me-
absolutely not.
There were, as I shared Monday, there were 2 students, as we were in lockdown, meaning lockdown, nobody gets in, nobody gets out. So, when we went into lockdown, there were 2 students who came to the front door. I don't send them, back out into the parking lot. I take them in, we put those people
You
in the
should have
teacher's
let
lounge.
them in.
Teacher's lounge. And I need to emphasize here also, the assessment of this threat, although it may have been unknown, and we can speculate that it, where there's, as I shared some other day, where there's smoke, there's fire. You find a bullet, what's the first thing you're gonna ask? Is there a gun? So the threat assessment that was made, and it was made within the first few minutes, defined that threat. It didn't change. So credit to law enforcement, not only local law enforcement, but also the Kentucky State Police. Because when the Kentucky State Police, they did not change any of the protocols. They agreed with all that we had done. And they knew that when they didn't release the lockdown until the state police said, your building is secure.
I have a suggestion to hopefully improve in case something, God forbid, ever happen again. But as a parent that was at the swimming pool, only getting gossiped information on Facebook and no information from an actual official Martin County Board of Education high school person that knew what was going on, I would have felt better if, and this is just a suggestion, if something like this ever happens again, I hope it doesn't, but why can't, I saw when I did get to pick my son up that day, and I did not try to go up there and get him out. I know when there's a lockdown, I had no problem with that. But I stayed there just in case, and when the kids were released, I was there to get my son. I saw 5 different people that work here in this office. And why could not one of them, I know they all have cell phones, why couldn't one of those people that work here be down at that swimming pool? There was a deputy there, he didn't have any information to give us, and it wasn't his fault. Why could not one of those people who work out of this office be down there communicating with, say, you or Mr. James or whoever, letting us know what's going on? The only communication I had was with my son, and he was texting me, letting me know he was okay. But he was scared because he didn't know what was going on.
I walked down for a little while.
Yeah, Donetta did come down and tell us what she knew.
And told you what I knew, which wasn't much.
Right. You told
But
me what
I wanted
what
to
you
know,
knew.
I did try.
Yeah, but
She did, but to me, if their role in this school district is to be an administrator, and I know no lockers were searched. I don't know that, I take that back. I was told no lockers, no book bags, anything like that was searched. So to me, other than you, I'm not including you in this, there was 4 other people there that work in the board's office, maybe more, these are the ones I saw. Why were not one of them being sent down to calm the parents? Because how could you, I know that you guys were up there trying to do what you could do to keep the situation under control and make sure everything was taken care of, but then you've got parents down there that we're being told there's a gun. We're being told they found a gun. We're being told on Facebook somebody had a knife. Some woman came down there and told us they had dogs searching the gym. I mean, I cannot tell you how many tales were told to us while we were sitting down there, and that creates fear and panic amongst the parents. And therefore, that equals pissed off parents, or the language, that's what you got. And you had I mean, and that, to me, why could not one of them been sent down there to talk to us, to let us know, to ease our minds and tell us what was going on, so we weren't so upset and concerned about the kids in the classrooms.
A liaison.
Yeah, that's what I call a PR person.
And I
That's
think there
two
needs to be more of an
instances with
understanding.
and this year, that's two complaints I've heard.
With
I promise.
parents,
With communication.
the administrators want the parents
Okay, Miss Prescott,
to,
Miss Prescott.
Okay, when she mentioned Facebook, I know exactly what you're talking about because there's a lot of misinformation on it.
Yes, it was.
So the school has a Facebook page, doesn't it, the Martin County? Why couldn't they get on there and post and let the public read on your all's post what is going on? Something that somebody can go to and say, okay, this is coming right out of the personnel office at the board, and this is what's happening. So official statements, and post them every 20 minutes or whatever when you get an update. So that way, I think that would relieve a lot of panic.
There was a post saying there was a lockdown, but that was it. There was nothing else. There was no comments. There was no communication with anyone other than, and then I felt like we were misunderstood as parents, that we were upset that there was a lockdown. I feel like, you know, I can't speak for everyone, but the majority of the people I spoke with that day, and I was there from 20 after 10 until 1:30 when I was allowed to get my son. I feel like as a group, no one was upset that the school was locked down. We were upset in the time lapse, the communication, and, you know, the time lapse in the time when the bullet was found and when it was actually placed on lockdown. Because I just feel like it's a no-brainer. If there's a bullet, there's a threat, lock down the school, don't let anybody else in. It shouldn't be, well, this one should have done it. No, he should have done it. Well, he's here, he should do it. No. If you are educated enough to run a school as a principal or a superintendent or anything else, I'm not as educated as many of the people in this room, but I do know that if someone finds a bullet in a school, lock the doors. That way, if you know if no one else is allowed in, they didn't have it. Somebody that's in that building has it. And then if there is a gun, you don't have to take a chance with our kids' lives by letting them in the building.
Exactly.
And I have something to add. If you don't know who had the bullet, that's what we heard just a few minutes ago, how do you know that there was no further threat?
Yeah,
How did you assess that?
No, no.
Yeah,
We don't know.
I think they have assessed it. We got the 8 people that could have.
They could.
That could have.
That used the bathroom. No doubt about it. One of the kids brought that bullet there. Period.
But how do you know that
But
somebody
you don't.
Listen to me. One of the kids goes, the janitor cleaned the bathroom, wiped the countertops off. Wasn't there. It appeared at 7:40. 2 kids found it. Okay. We went through the video. 8 kids, plus the 2 that found it. That's 10 kids. Okay. What we done, the coach down here do a great job. He should be a law enforcement. What we done, we didn't call on, they didn't call and go to the coach. They didn't call on the announcer and say, the speaker and say, we need so-and-so here at the principal office. They got it, they walked over to the classroom. They got the kid out of the classroom. They searched him. They searched the locker. There wasn't no bullet found. The reason we know the threat was gone, because they searched everybody that used that bathroom, no bullets, no weapon was found.
Just one quick question.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I hate playing the what if game.
Yeah, that's all one is, but I can't.
Yeah, I hate that. But while you're searching the video, checking those 8 people that went in that bathroom, if somebody actually had a gun, how many people could they have killed in that time?
Whole bunch.
And what if they had planned? What if there was more than just a
Exactly.
child that went in that
What if they pass it on to somebody else?
If somebody goes
Again.
to the house with a gun, a whole bunch of people gonna get killed.
That's why I think that their book bags, and I have 2 kids up there. I wouldn't care what you searched on them. I wouldn't care if you did a body search on them or whatever. But some children will do things in groups. And if the child who had the bullet, for example, went into the bathroom, and this is still what if, and you had another child who brought
I mean, guns can be broken down. What if they brought pieces of it to where they can meet somewhere and put it together? Then there should have been a search of the lockers, there should have been a search. I mean, to me, that would make me feel more safe that our safety protocol was working, because every possible aspect of this investigation was actually investigated. And it's, I mean, you can't do it all by yourself. It's going to take multiple people to do that, and I absolutely believe what you did was absolutely correct. I mean, look at the video camera and do that. But there should have been more procedures and more things done. Like they said, when that bullet was found, everything should have been locked down. A lockdown means locked down. Nobody else enters, nobody else exits. There was kids who, I mean, and it should have been immediate. Kids went to the vocational school, kids came in when their parents dropped them off, janitors came in and out, HVAC came in and out. There was a lot of holes in our protocol. And that's what we are here, is to try to give suggestions, not play the blame game. Because I know you've had a granddaughter up there, and I know how much you love her. And I know her, I mean, I know her very well. And, but this is our children, your grandchildren, and we all make mistakes. But we got to come together as a community, as a whole, and we need to fix this, because these kids will be leading other future generations, and they need to know how to do things the best way possible. There's no 100% way to be correct, but you know, we've lived in a community to where everything has usually been safe. I know I grew up here, I felt safe. Lately I don't. There's people murdering people, we're having multiple gunshots. And I mean, it's getting a little scary.
And bullies.
And bullies, and who knows what some of these kids will do. And they honestly, kids can, they fall to peer pressure. So if he was my buddy, I could talk to him, and maybe we were in on it together, but I was the only one that went in the bathroom. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
The thing that bothered me
Tim's got a question.
Is that Garmin was the only police officer on site from 7:40 until 11 o'clock. I called the Kentucky State Police.
That's wrong.
Huh?
That's wrong.
Okay, who's the only? Oh, Nick.
The deputy was up there.
Okay, the deputy.
I called him and told him.
Oh, okay, so it's the deputy.
Yes, there was a deputy there, because I saw him when I came.
Okay, so you had one
and
deputy.
he informed me of what was going on.
All right, well, you know, the Kentucky State Police were not called till 10:13.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a 2.5-hour window.
Okay, during that time, who is it up to lockdown? What's Mr. Meadows there for?
If it's me, the next time.
I'm not.
Okay,
It should be.
then was you ever called to be there?
You should de-escalate the situation and call the
Can you
lockdown
answer?
off. Once you know the situation is safe.
Okay, Tim.
Yeah, Tim, come on.
I've got a bunch of questions, actually. Did we go by board policy and procedure? And if we did, is that from KSBA or one of their own?
It's not KSBA, it's from the Center of Safe Schools. I think there's some copies out there.
Okay. My second thing is, there used to be FEMA, Hurricane Katrina, Mesa. Then it became Homeland Security. Then there was a shooting. After that point, it then become law that you have a master plan. You submit that plan every year. Now, I just happen to know that, but I don't learn your job. You do yours and I do mine. So obviously that plan, the state did away with DES, and now they have a county emergency management officer. Each year that management officer is, you're supposed to review that, you and the board, to make sure that policy is in your 911 headquarters. Your sheriff should have a copy. Your police should have a copy. The state police should have a copy. Like it is everywhere else. Now, listen, that's the problem here. We dream, but if you don't set goals with your dreams, you just have a dream. You've got to follow through because you have a precious commodity. Now, the problem I had with all this, Mr. Meadows, was I guess some of the women that you discussed this with on Monday, and I always admire you, you know, for addressing them, even though you know you're going to get rolled. I admire you. You know, if I was you, I don't think I would do it, but and I would probably let the board attorney do most of that. But I admire you for doing that. So After you discussed this, text messages started going to my staff. My staff said, this person is in school today. My secretary took 11 calls in 18 minutes Monday. I took 3 on my cell phone. That this guy's in here. Staff has no idea. Now I have 2 problems with that.
So do I.
If in fact you ID'd somebody to these folks, then I think you've profiled somebody. Because if you don't have probable cause, and obviously the sheriff didn't, or he arrested someone or handled it his way, the proper way. So he didn't. So obviously, since he's the chief law enforcement officer of Martin County, then the state police come in. They're saying the same thing, that you know, reasonable suspicion is nothing. So no, we really and truly don't know who did that. So I'm going to ask you in the future, please communicate better.
Accurately.
Because you made my job hard that day too. Now the other thing is, I'm worried about this child that you profiled.
I don't know what you mean by that profile.
You profiled in front of all the parents. You said the child is in school today.
No, he said he was permitted, but he had not checked the attendance roster, so he could not verify. That was his exact
Well, that's
words.
the same thing.
I
So-
was here on Monday.
So we can't go identifying people
I
that
also
are
think
guilty.
that he profiled him, and I could be wrong, and I mean, I can be corrected if I am, but I think that he addressed via a video that I seen that was floating around on Facebook on Friday afternoon that said it was determined that it was brought into school as a scare tactic. Is that not so?
That was on WSAZ.
Okay, so in order to determine that, you thereby have profiled someone. You're saying we know who did it and we know why they did it, and that we were misinformed. So our plea with you is, when you communicate accurately, truthfully, to the parents that deserve truthful answers.
I guess I need to clarify. I'm a little lost on the profiling, so let me just say that the response to the media on that day, on this Monday, and right now, is that the conclusions that I share with the community are not based on what I investigate. It's based on what I'm given by law enforcement. I don't pursue criminal investigations. And educators do not do that. That's why we call law enforcement. And when law enforcement states that they have finished their investigation and here are the results of it, if it is a student or students involved, we have identified that threat, it's been contained, and now we need to address it. And here's the threats that you need to deal with. Here's from a law enforcement perspective, sharing with me and the other educators that here's some suggestions of what you may want to do or what you may need to do based on our assessment of our investigation. I can only go on what the law enforcement tells me.
Okay, so will this student be punished or what?
I cannot speak to, I can't speak to anything of personnel or student actions taken in this.
Okay, but the thing about it is, you don't have any evidence.
No.
I don't have no evidence to arrest nobody. We know it was one of the kids that went to Bethlehem at that time. Which one, I can't tell you.
Yeah.
I can't tell you. It went without, maybe 2 of the students, I ain't mentioned their name. By going through my process of investigation, I ain't comfortable even with those 2 that was brought to my attention.
See, that's what we want to know. Do you or do you not know who's a student?
I do not know. I just know it was one day. Maybe one of the 10, you know, I don't know.
The kid believes that they can go to school and bring a bullet and get away with it, whether you punish that child or not. No, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about the school system. If the kid, I understand that, but I'm just saying, if you did know who the kid was, which, from my understanding, when the parents came Monday and spoke with Mr. Meadows, he indicated they did have a suspect, and that there were special circumstances and the child would not get any kind of disciplinary action.
I did not say that.
I'm saying by my understanding, I'm not quoting you, I'm saying by my understanding. And if that be the case, if they do find out who the kid is, and you say that you cannot comment on personnel or school discipline or child discipline, I understand that. But if a kid gets in a fight and gets kicked out for 3 days, everybody knows it. If a kid brings a bullet to school and then no one is held accountable for that, who's to say the next kid doesn't bring the gun or doesn't bring the knife?
Right.
Or if they think, well, he got away with that, because kids know things. Kids know who does what. Everybody knows, everybody
There's
gossips.
policies on that.
I'm not talking about kids, I'm not talking about
I know, but
adults.
policies, like if there is a child found guilty, there's policies that cover their punishment. And they're supposed to abide by those policies that are set by this board.
Well, I know Sunday night, my son, who is he's a happy child. I have to say, my son is probably one of the happiest kids at Sheldon Clark. He's outgoing, he's happy, he's a great kid, and I'm not just saying that because he's my kid. Everybody knows him knows Lance is fantastic. But anyway, he was scared to go to school Monday. He said, Mommy, what if they didn't do anything to that kid, and what if he's there tomorrow? And what if he has a gun this time? He said, I don't think anyone would want to hurt me, but who's to say they wouldn't? And what am I supposed to do? Like, I know Jeanette didn't send her kid to school. Lance has a 4.0 if he doesn't go to school. His grades are, that can affect his grades. I feel helpless in that because I had nothing to tell him. I couldn't say, well, the kid was found and whatever, he was punished. And then I was very upset at the fact that I found out that no one had been held accountable for that come Monday. And now you're saying that they don't know who it was. That doesn't ease my mind as far as the entire situation. It eases my mind in the fact that the child was just let go and not done anything with. But, I don't want my son to be afraid to go to school.
No. And, I have heard rumors throughout this whole week about it being a child with a disability and with autism and, all this. I myself do not believe that. The truth of the matter, I feel, is, like Garmin said, they do not know who brought the bullet. In an effort to keep parents calm, and in an effort to keep their attendance up, and in an effort to give false security to parents, they want to lay blame on this child or a couple children. I'm not falling for any of that. I want to know if Garmin has stood here and said out of the 8 kids, or he even said 10, there possibly was 10. So, Mr. Meadows, how can you assure us that our kids are safe? I know I asked you this Monday, and I told you then that my daughter wouldn't be coming back until I knew she was safe, because for one, yes, her education is very important, but her safety is more important. So how can you assure me today, I'd like to send her back Monday, how can you assure me that when I do, she's safe?
I base my statements and my confidence of the security and safety of our buildings and our schools and our students and the occupants based upon what law enforcement told me, and that was they cleared the building and they made it safe. I say it's safe. It was just as safe today as it was Thursday. Was it safe Friday? No, it was not. When we identify, as Garmin has shared, those students that were involved, and that it was, the probability of one of those kids is pretty high. When the Kentucky State Police shares with me in their investigation of when they talk to all these kids, and it is narrowed down to, a smaller group on who did this, we can't go back and punish kids or discipline kids because we think in all probability they did something.
Well, we're not asking you to.
Well, I just want to say that's why the children involved in this, the students involved in this, were back in school. Now, did we implement some higher awareness of visibility and supervision? Absolutely. But the school district can't simply say, well, we think you did this, 99.9% sure that you did this. We can't take disciplinary action and punitive action against that student or students because we think they did something. So what we have to do is make sure that we can do everything that we possibly can without punishing that child in any way.
You've punished mine all year because of so many fights. within the 9th grade class, and she's never
Well-
been in an altercation in her life at school.
Well, we can talk about that separately, but this incident that we're on right now is that we cannot punish a student if we are not absolutely certain that they're the offenders. And in this case,
Happen again,
when,
because that kid got away free. Something's going to happen again. You can bet on it.
Have you entertained the thought of metal detectors or something that?
yes, we've spoken with
And
that,
we're-
Mickey brought a while ago about the SROs, we talked about the wands and the metal detectors. And again, that was a discussion I had with the State Director of Kentucky's Center for Safe Schools. I also have put that out there for our board attorney, for him to get some feel on what other schools are doing that. So that's an opinion that will be given to the Board of Education on
I'm not
what they need to
concerned in
do.
the least what other schools are doing.
But you need to understand that I cannot, as superintendent, just go out and buy some wands and start, search and seizure. That's what it is. The board, under legal advice, under the attorney, they have to consider the risk involved of search and seizure strategies such as wands or metal detectors. We just simply can't go out there and do that because we feel that we can.
What risk is there to a metal detector?
I'm sorry?
What risk is there to a metal detector?
Well, that's for, and Tim can attest to that as well. The risk is the search and seizure. What level of evidence is there that students must be searched or property or items be seized from them? Now, what we, as a parent and as an educator, listen, I don't want anything coming in our buildings either. We need to do things that we can do to keep it safe. But if you have 580 students and one student is the culprit who continues to bring in contraband or whatever to make everybody else unsafe, what about the 579 kids who should not be searched, who should not have to go through a metal detector?
Were the parents of the 8 to 10 children contacted and told that their kids were?
No,
I'm sorry.
I'd say no.
Were they
That's my
contacted?
opinion.
Yes.
And
We are
because as a
working
parent,
with
if I thought my
these,
kid
we
was
are
bad,
working,
I'd be
we're trying to, again, we have to be very careful that to do what I think somebody had said we had done, which we're not. We need to be extremely careful that we are not, we're not identifying a kid that, as an offender when we don't have the evidence to say.
I understand that, but
They
as
were.
a parent, if my son had been in that bathroom, which that's another thing, my son's afraid to go to the bathroom, has been for the past 2 years. When I pick him up every day, we stop at McDonald's so he can pee, because he's afraid to use the bathrooms, because he's afraid someone will think he was smoking or getting into a fight. And, that's horrible, that's like medical, you shouldn't, my child shouldn't be afraid to use the bathroom.
We have taken pretty quick measures on addressing the safety.
Other than that, if you come to me, Mr. Meadows or Dr. Laney or Coach Smith or whoever came to me and said, Samantha Lance was in the bathroom at this period of time, there was a bullet found. I would think any reasonable parent would be completely on top of that to help you find out who did it. So, and I understand you saying you have to be careful about not blaming a child, but if you know that in that time frame those certain kids went in, those parents should be willing to work with you on that. You shouldn't be afraid to go and talk to them about that.
We are not from a standpoint that they did it, but that they were around.
Right, that's exactly what
They
I
were
was
in that
saying.
vicinity, and so we want to bring some awareness to, there's a possibility that there may be some awareness or knowledge of it, but beyond that, we got to be careful that we don't even insinuate or accuse a child of something that they didn't do.
I understand that, that's why I worded it the way I did. If you come to me and said, this is in the bathroom.
Okay, this isn't over. Garmin is still investigating this. I mean, it's not something over. I think one of the things that they,
But to fix.
it doesn't, the kid who maybe was a primary suspect, there's nothing to indicate that he got that from home, is there? Well, I don't want to. Well, the whole thing about it, you got to rule it,
As long as they don't, keep that in investigation. What I'm worried about, can you tell me that we're going to get the communication better for the kids and the teachers?
That's what we need to
Can
do.
you tell me that we can have our law enforcement communicate with our parents when something like that happens again? Can you tell me that we're going to get this fixed? See, I'm sure if we had communication between our educators with the little radios, it's going to keep a lot of stuff down. If they're passing guns, if they're passing knives, somebody has got to see it.
Maybe Mr.
Do you
President needs to come
understand
down
what
here
I'm
and talk to
saying?
him when the board
Can you
talks.
tell me we're gonna get that for our high school?
Will these children's,
In years
will these children's absences be
and fix
excused?
it? That's all I want.
New high school.
When
we get the new high schools, that's a good question.
I mean, we can
Will
use that
they be
here.
excused?
I'm just curious if Mr. Meadows and the board would consider making sure these children that didn't feel safe to enter school, and I can understand why they didn't, will them absences be excused?
No.
I asked on Monday and was told by Mr. Meadows that she would be considered absent and truant.
She would be considered, right, if
That's
children
not
are in school, they'll be considered absent. I mean,
And I understand that.
That's what you
but
asked, and that's why I answered
You also went on to say on Monday that you would pursue truancy. For my daughter that was not attending school because she felt like her safety was violated.
I don't think,
Yes, Mr. Meadows, you did, and I
we
think
can
there
go
were
to the
quite a
recording,
few.
so, and bring that up, but,
You was recording.
so,
I would love for you to.
okay.
Could you please?
Are they
Because
gonna be,
I
are they
specifically
gonna,
asked.
are they gonna be considered truant though? I mean, does it?
At this point, they were considered absent to answer that question.
Oh, absent, or is it, are they going to be excused?
Yeah,
Well, they have an excused absence.
yeah, they have an excuse absence, that's the thing. You're still absent, but it's excused.
Okay,
So
is
as
it
long as
already
it's
excused,
excused.
Mr. Meadows?
That's something I've talked to Dr. Delaney and the.
Now, see, that's something that we need to get that out of the air too.
If
they're
you
absent.
all-
Is that Dr. Laney really a
If you all, and I'm including Mr. Meadows and the board, if you all to fail to provide these folks with a safe and hostile environment at high school and charge them a day because they're scared to go to school, I don't think Mr. Meadows wants that actually.
No,
And I don't think the board wants
Well, Tim,
that.
I think that would be a board decision, not an administrator.
Well, I think
Our
it's always
decision.
good
I think that
to
would
hear
be.
one together.
Well, you know, I took the stance, and I continue to do so since Monday. My daughter will not return until I know that her safety is not in jeopardy. And I told you then, do what you feel like you need to do. But I'm sure you're aware by now that I can also do what I need to do.
Back to the metal detectors, I have a question. Why would metal detectors be for a select few? You said you didn't want to point any out. How do other Kentucky schools work with metal detectors?
That's what we're trying.
They're for everyone.
That's what we're trying.
There's a lot of liability with them.
When you walk through the door, I mean, could it be for parents and everything? That way no one's
Sure,
pulling it out?
but that's what he's saying.
The liability comes in when something is
Because I'm sure
detected.
others.
Right.
Yeah, that's.
Because when you walk through and something goes off, then it becomes a search and seizure.
Say you have pins or a plate in your leg that sets that detector off.
I got
And
that.
they search that child because of that, because they was not aware of those pins and plates or whatnot, because they thought it had contraband. That's when it becomes a legal issue, is when you inappropriately search somebody for something, is what I would think. But is that not?
The legal, my brother, the legal out there, what we're looking at is we're looking at people that are not adults. They're not 18, a lot of them are. So, what happens is when they go through, and I'm not taking no sides, I'm just telling you what my brother told me. When they go through a metal detector and they are underage, they take this student, which is humiliating, and that's what they say, it's humiliating. They take them at search and seizure. When they do that and it's underage, they are liable. They are, and a parent gets ticked off because you took my kid in there, you know what I'm saying, it's a good student. So that's your liability. Is that not what you're trying to tell them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's what my brother explained to me.
And yeah, that's what I understand.
But now, if they're 18, but see, it's not always 18-year-olds. We've got freshmen, we've got sophomores, and we got.
But we were told that they were by ones. That's a metal detector, it's just a handheld. How's
Yeah,
that
but still,
different?
it's not, that's not illegal, but when it goes off, and we have a lot of metal with
What if
pins.
we wand Mickey here and it goes off? Just the same as if he walked through a metal detector. It's the same.
Wands are actually worse, they're not as
Process.
accurate.
They're not.
But
What
see, it's a
I'm not
search
saying
and
that. What I'm
seizure,
saying is it would prompt a search, no matter if it's a
Right.
metal detector or a wand.
Right, but see, he's an adult. We're talking about underage kids.
Well, could there
See, they would be liable.
Could
And
there be
then
a
if-
policy in place that if it did go off, like if a kid, say a kid does have a
plate in its knee or it's wherever, screws, you know, that's something parents should tell the school.
Usually
They
they
know
carry
that
a
they're gonna have
card or
metal
a
detectors.
necklace.
And, right, and if, say it does go off and you contain this child, shouldn't there be a policy if this child is underage, contact the parents?
But see, there again, you're looking at a wide range of things, and I'm not taking y'all's job, I'm just telling you what my brother took, because
Right, I
I did the same
understand that,
thing.
because you just seem to know more about it than
Well, what it is they have laws they have to go by. And you get an attorney, they get that, they are gonna rip them to
I
shreds.
understand.
They are going, and they're going, it's gonna cost the school system
It's just
money
if other
that
schools
we
do
do
it, we need to
books.
find out how they do it.
Yeah,
Well,
we need-
it's not as easy.
Yeah, it's not as easy.
Her,
I mean,
her
we
brother,
can
the
see-
first thing he's gonna do is file a motion discovery, asking the last time that thing was calibrated.
Yeah.
And then it goes from that point on, and it's a continuous thing, so.
Yeah, and it's gonna cost the school system money, it's gonna cost a lot of aggravation, I understand that, you know, because we need to invest in our students and their education and tools for it.
Well, maybe we need
Yeah.
to send janitors into the bathrooms with the boys and a lady in with the girls.
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it.
Maybe that'd help.
I didn't mean to explain.
That's a good point. We do with a lot of our, Frankie, go ahead and tell them about the no-fly list. I mean, we do that.
A couple of things.
That'd be a good idea.
Well, we do have one female janitor that is in the girls' bathrooms, which has been historically been our smoking area. And then we have a no-fly list. And a no-fly list consists of once a student has been caught in possession of tobacco, whether it be skull or cigarettes, and we've just updated it from our last meeting, if they've been in a fighting situation, anything like that, skipping class, then they go on the no-fly list, which means they are not allowed out of class during class time unless an administrator, basically me, escorts them. If it's a female, then I get one of the women from the office to take them, so that we know at least those kids that have been smoking or dipping, so we call it the no-fly list, and we update it weekly.
All right, so how many fights have we had?
This week?
Yeah.
I've been dying for someone to ask.
Yeah.
Zero.
Zero, okay, now here's the thing about it, all right. We've had 0 fights, no fights at all through school. Has that been the first week that we've not had fights?
Wait a minute, that was.
All right, why do you think, wait a minute, why do you?
We just changed it.
That was a fight.
Student, today there was fights.
Huh?
I absolutely was informed by
Well, honey,
students.
when I left at 2:11, at 1:51 to come to this meeting, there hadn't been.
Okay.
I'll tell you what.
And if there's a fight, I know
Staff says
about
that's- That's slowed it way down.
What?
Is Garmin's presence in the morning.
Yeah, that's the whole thing I'm
Because
thinking.
they've asked if I could write them a grant and somehow reward him or something because of his presence.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. I think it'd be good to have somebody like Garmin, which, I mean, actually, you'll be free after January, won't you?
Yeah, but we
I
still
mean,
need
I don't think that we still get somebody like that. Garmin, and you
Ms.
got.
Priest has got a question.
But have somebody like it, go ahead.
I've been wanting to talk about the lockdown. I think it'd be a good idea to kind of address the issue of why you have a lockdown in the first place. One thing, the most important thing is protect the kids. Well, another thing, it's not been addressed, but when you put the kids in lockdown, then you're separating them. And if they do have any idea of doing something, you know, if they're trying to pass plans or equipment or whatever, you've got them with a teacher, you've got them in a classroom, you've got the traffic stopped. And one of the things that during a lockdown, then just as the sheriff was saying, he questioned people. You don't have a group of kids getting their little heads together and working out their plans and their stories. So one of the whole main purposes behind the lockdown is so when the officers do question them, they are more apt to tell on each other because they haven't got together and got their stories straight.
What we did immediately is when we identified those students, including the two that found it, we immediately pulled them out and separated them.
Yeah, and that is exactly what needs to be done.
We did.
That's what we did.
So it occurred to me when you were discussing that, when something like that, when it's first found, then if the lockdown had gone in effect immediately, then all of that traffic would be cut down, the kids would be separated, and you know, then that's probably when the information should have gone out to the parents and say, okay,
Yeah.
this is what's happened, but your kids are safe because as soon as we found this, we put those kids in the classroom and we are questioning them now. So you don't have to worry, you know, the law enforcement's here. You know, I just think it would alleviate so much anxiety about with the parents.
Yeah.
And people assume things, and I have to say, I was one of the people who assumed when I saw, you know, the sheriff's vehicle there that morning, and I mean, I'll be the first to say it, I assumed, I didn't at that time because I didn't know there was a bullet. When I let Lance out that morning, I went about my business and started to Ashland when I found out about the whole situation. But the first thing that clicked in my mind, well, Garmin's vehicle was there this morning, so I was thinking, they already knew and this and that, you know, because
He was there
of the
before
lack,
the bullet was.
right, I know that now. But because of the lack of communication with the parents, you know, like I said, I'll be the first to admit, I assumed that because that's what I saw. But, you know, that's something like I'm with her. If, you know, if we can just say that there's going to be some things addressed and possibly put into place that there'll be better communication with the parents. God forbid this ever happen again. But if it does, we want to know that there'll be someone that we can go and ask, you know, what's going on.
Well, you know, your DES director, which used to be Lee Gall, and now it's Casey Fitch, wasn't notified.
Never.
Which,
He wouldn't.
I'm gonna take the blame for that. I should have notified. I was on scene. I didn't think about calling 911.
Yeah.
And I failed by not notifying him there.
okay, but it would have
I
been.
should have notified him.
Well, you know, Garmin, here's what Garmin has said, Garmin one deputy, right?
And one
Okay,
day,
yeah, one deputy. Okay, here's what Garmin's are expected to do. Garmin and one deputy are expected to look at the camera, pull these kids out, interview them,
Make all the.
and then go down and make a crowd control and stuff. If the parents are showing up, if it was too much, it's really, really hard for y'all.
And I know Bessie wasn't
We need
giving any
assistance.
information, and that's not your fault nor his.
No, that's not Garmin's fault.
We need a system. I tell you what could have saved that a lot, because I know when Eden had the chemical spill, you know, the little incident
Oh,
there.
nobody got hurt there, remember?
But what it was is it could have been handled a little different. Parents were panicking, we didn't know. But when that happened, Garmin could have been doing his thing. One of the educators could have went out and said, okay. Now, went out there and looked you all and said, okay, this is what happened. We found the bullet. There's nobody hurt. Everybody's life goes on normal. We've had a lockdown. Everything's good. Would you not feel better? I would feel better.
Oh, I definitely would feel better.
And this is gonna go
But
back
see,
to.
no.
But what it was it was
Garmin can't do it all.
You see what I'm getting at?
We were down there, and I think Garmin showed
was up on
them,
that?
actually showed them the
Yeah,
book.
but
the
what
trouble
I,
was, we was up on the hill, and we had a bunch down after I couldn't make it down the swimming pool because we was having one up there.
But by the time-
But your deputy was at the bottom of the
you
hill.
should have been
But let me add, does the district pay for the educators to have cell phones? Is that part,
Us?
I wish.
Mr. Meadows or anybody?
I think y'all need radio.
We approve
Radios are
that.
That'd be
loud.
good.
Your radios, the cell phones are good, you
Okay,
all,
so you do
I mean,
approve,
but the
you
radios.
have an Appalachian Wireless bill that we pay for out of our
We
tax
approve
money.
an Apple, yeah, but
Who has a phone?
I don't know.
Well, my point is
Nobody
not just
has a
cell
phone.
phones. There's people who have phones at the school. I mean, we can call and talk to people
I asked for that
there.
list once. and I
That
got it.
person should automatically call someone else who is in control of the school's website. Not just have, if it's a true lockdown, educators shouldn't be coming in and out of that building. They should be staying, because no one's supposed to enter and leave.
Right.
But you have to have a system. Someone could have called someone who is
Here at the
responsible
central
for the
office.
school board's Facebook, because that's how I found out, was Facebook. And if that had been put on there immediately, that there was a lockdown and that the situation was contained, or however you wanted to present that information, maybe the parents would not have went up there and felt like their children were unsafe. And I know myself, that would have definitely made me feel much more safe about my child. But instead of seeing it on Facebook from all these other kids who are putting on Facebook, or they've alerted their parent and their parents putting it on Facebook, there's a gun, there's bullets, there's a knife. They found, I mean, we heard it was in a girl's bathroom. And I'm not saying that any of these details are accurate, because obviously there were rumors and they're not. But that would have definitely contained a lot of the situation for the parents. That, in my personal opinion, that's what I think.
I do have a question though. If it was found in the boys' restroom, how did the girl retrieve it in order to bring it to you?
One girl, the two boys found it and gave it to a lady that works our camp.
Oh, the lady that,
They gave it to Kim,
okay,
and Kim-
when you said when she brought it, I thought you were saying that it was.
And it takes a few minutes to get from the bathroom to the principal. And I was standing beside the principal when she gave it to him, and he gave it to me. It took a few minutes. The principal didn't get it at 7:40. That's when they found it, approximately 7:40 when they found it. And we looked at the film, the time was on there, and I can't remember exactly what time it was, but the time, we had timeline, real good timeline on it. And then there was 3 minutes passed, and I didn't have very long. I mean, I might have made it to the office when the bell rang.
Well, again, you know, we're not blaming you.
I know, I'm not defending myself.
Right.
I'm just trying to explain what happened. And did I mess up? Yeah, I messed up.
The whole system did.
Next time, can I do a better job? Yeah, I'm going to.
Well, we're gonna fix it. We'll fix it. We'll pull together and fix it, what we got. Amen?
What would have you messed up? I ain't gonna detail, but I see things that, talking to everybody here, I can see things I could do different.
Well, hindsight is always 20/20, like we said on Monday.
And that's the purpose of a debriefing, is to figure out what steps that you could always take to do better. And no matter what the incident, no matter what happens, what goes on, or whoever, after it's over with, there is not an individual in the world that can't learn something by looking back on that.
Yeah, I think the chief thing, that once they find something and police arrive, they're in charge. They're in charge of lockdown and everything.
I have a question. What time were you guys notified? Anybody?
Mr. Meadows, were you
I got-
notified until after 9?
I got something, I was at Dale Barton, I got something around maybe 9:04 or.
Okay, and you
I
about
think
9 o'clock or
that's the
so?
genuine
Why
concern.
didn't you call the lockdown right then?
Well, I think whoever it was reported to, if any school personnel or educator can call a lockdown, because we were informed that on Monday, if whoever those first two children took that bullet to,
Absolutely.
there should have been an immediate lockdown.
I agree with you
And that
totally.
way everything's contained. Then law enforcement comes in.
Well,
and
Kim's
they do
been there
their-
for years
their-
and years.
And I don't
She
know
should
exactly
know.
who it was that, I mean, I'm not even gonna say her name, he said Kim, but, I mean, it doesn't matter if it was her, or if it was Mr. Smith, or if it was even Mr. Meadows, or Mr. James, or, you know, Miss McCoy, whoever it is taken to, because children may feel more comfortable with certain teachers, I know I did, and they may take this to the teacher and say, hey, look what I found. It is that educator's or that personnel's responsibility to say, whatever your Mr. Appleby is in the building, you know, or call the
Or
office
if they made a
and say,
mistake
Mr.
and brought
Appleby's
it
in the
to
building,
school,
and
they
let it
should
be
just took
announced.
it in the, you know, to the principal.
That's,
Been real
I think that is.
Yeah, I mean, accidents happen.
Well, we should change that policy, immediately lockdown. If we have something, can you tell me, are we gonna have immediate lockdown, whether we,
No.
you
If
can
we
promise
find a
it?
bullet,
Yes, ma'am.
you can guarantee that we'll lock it down.
Bless your
That's
heart,
second.
that's all.
That's
I was talking to Larry today, I said, I don't care if the kids are out back digging up Civil War bullets, while they're plowing a garden.
Okay,
Now, seriously, if a bullet is found, we will.
next time have it, but no,
Yes.
next
No,
time
that's
it's
That's
locked.
right. Now, let me clarify something, it's important, because when I say anybody can call a lockdown, anyone just can't come in, it matters not if you're a teacher.
Right.
The responsibility is that teacher to notify school administration to call the lockdown.
That's not what you said Monday.
Well, what I'm saying is, once anybody can call a lockdown, if I have a teacher comes in, the only way you can call a lockdown is come into the office and get on the intercom, unless you're just going to cry out.
Well, your educators and your personnel, if they find a
Right.
bullet, they can pick up the phone in their classroom and say,
Absolutely, they could do
"Excuse me,
that, that's
Mr.
right.
That's what, yeah.
But when I say call lockdown, the administrator, whoever they're calling in the office, is actually the one that's going to trigger the lockdown, the EMS, the calling 911, and all that.
True.
When
That's
anyone
That
can-
process should take no longer than 5
Yeah,
minutes.
that's what I'm saying.
And if somebody comes to me and says, you know,
That's what we're
we
upset
found
about.
this,
Yeah.
they're probably not gonna say, I think we need to call a lockdown. You know,
Yeah,
because
they're
everybody in
gonna
that
tell you what
building
they
knows
think.
that it's gonna be whoever the administrator is, or law enforcement, or whoever it may be, they're gonna make that decision.
Yeah, that's all I wanna know, is we're gonna call lockdown, nobody's gonna be, you can promise.
Okay,
me.
Miss Priest.
Yeah,
May I
Yes.
say too
Well,
about, you know,
yes, absolutely, and it goes to each building.
absolutely.
Yeah, what?
the word lockdown is kind of, but like why don't you, like a bullet is kind of like an inactive weapon, have, the parents would know, like say for example, our government does threat levels, green,
Yeah, threat
orange.
levels, green,
If
yeah.
it's a threat, if it's a lockdown green, then that would be the teachers knowing it's an
I
inanimate
understand, but
weapon.
man, we don't do that. It's either like being a little bit pregnant. I mean, you are locked down. Like I said, it's smoke, there's fire. If there is a bullet found, you know, the immediate question is there a weapon? Now, again, please keep in mind, I'm not a law enforcement official. But I do the same thing as a law enforcement official, and you do as a parent. You always assess the threat. What is it, and how do I need to respond? And it changes continuously. So it got to the point where we could not determine who brought that in. When we identified, or when the school leadership in Garmin were identifying those children who, those are the ones that went in to this area during a specified time. So when they began to talk with those students, this is before the lockdown, when they began to talk with those students, it was thought at that time that, hey, this is contained. But as the questioning progressed with those kids, it became very apparent that there was some other kids who may be involved. So at that point, the containment didn't get smaller, the containment got larger. And when the assessment was made that, well, wait a minute, there's too many unknowns here. That's when the lockdown was determined. The assessment in the beginning was that, okay, we know what we have, we've identified who was in there, and it was, the consensus was, at the time, this is contained. The threat is contained. We're safe. We've got the suspects, if you want to say. I hate to apply that to kids. We got the suspects, we've got the threat itself, the bullet, and it's contained. We're safe. But as the questioning progressed, it became obvious that it got bigger. The unknowns got bigger. So in order to contain that, that's why we did the lockdown. Because the threat got bigger. It didn't get smaller, it got bigger. And the delay in the lockdown had a lot to do with that.
The second the bullet was found, Mr. Meadows, there was a threat.
Well, ma'am, we're putting in procedures in place now that won't happen
That won't
again.
happen again.
That will not happen
That's
again.
what I was just
If that's what I want to know.
And you yourself referred to a conversation that you had with Mr. James today that would lead me to believe that you're not considering this a serious situation.
Which
And it is. Just like I told you the other day on Monday that
What
a
comment was
bullet about, I don't care if the kids dig up the bullet. You know, it's a, so that leads me to believe you're not considering
Well, I'm
it
sorry you
serious.
pick up on that, but the point is that there is a bullet found. Our principals at our community understands at this point there's going to be a lockdown.
Yeah.
Why is that? It's based on the threat and the threat to the community. Because it's what the values and the beliefs and expectations of the community also plays a part in the safety of our kids.
Sir,
So-
I understand that,
Yeah.
but you all didn't do that. It
I'm
was
talking about the
after
comment
my-
that I made. I certainly take this
okay.
seriously.
He said they would do it.
Because I was in that building 5 minutes and there was a lockdown.
Yeah.
That's how seriously
So
I
you
take
didn't
it.
get
And
that
that's what
nine
should happen
something.
before you got there.
Well, again, I'm not going to say what should have happened. All I can say is that the discussions and the consensus and the assessments that were being made during the time the bullet was discovered until the lockdown, it changed very, very quickly. And as soon as Garmin and Dr. Laney, myself, and a couple of administrators determined that this thing is getting bigger and not smaller, we locked it down.
Yeah,
What if there was a knife or brass
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
knuckles or another
I was
weapon?
just wondering, did the state police confiscate the bullet, take to the lab, run fingerprint test?
No, no, no.
You've been telling
Why
too
not?
many people.
I don't
Because-
know.
Because you're not gonna find a print.
Because-
Anybody handle it?
Change hands.
Two kids found it.
Or they
Female
said-
worker got a hold of it, and the principal got a hold of it. By that time, it's not a
You'd
big
think they'd
boy.
know better than that, Garmin.
Right, hold it now. You wanna know what happened? You want the truth? The truth is, after that many people touch it, no one will get fingerprints.
No. You
The
can't,
bullet ain't that big anyway, I mean, the round ain't big, I mean, Once you walk around all over the country, you can't get a fingerprint.
All the pieces of evidence we have that would prove who done it.
Exactly.
And we messed it up, law enforcement messed it
Well, not
up.
real, well.
Well, people, everybody that held the bullet, let me rephrase it, everybody that held the bullet helped
Even
mess
if
it up.
one person, let's say that one person might have held that bullet, let's say that one person did, and let's say that whoever placed it wore gloves and placed it there.
They wouldn't have to wear gloves, Gary, all they have to do is have a piece of tissue paper or anything like that. I know we prepared a piece of tissue paper.
This bullet was found by children.
Yeah, we had two kids that found this, and I applauded them. I told them both, I said, you did the right thing. Kids are not instructed and trained on how to handle weapons when they find evidence. They brought it in, they gave it to the first adult they came to, they did the right thing.
And we dealt, and I'm telling you the truth, we dealt with some innocent kids that day. We questioned some innocent kids.
And it was not pleasant for us or them.
So we are going to fix the lockdown situation. We are going to get radios. We're not going to wait.
Well, let me say this, the lockdown, when we implemented the lockdown,
Okay.
it was effective. Did
But
we
we're going to do it a
have,
little different next time.
huh?
We're going to do it a little
Well, the
different.
decision-making
Yeah, okay.
that led up to the lockdown, that's what we're looking at. How can we do that better?
Yeah, that's
And at
fine.
this point, again, it's very important, is that it's not just what I think or what Garmin thinks or the KSP or the principal thinks what's safe and what's not. The community is also a part of that.
Okay.
So I want the community to know if we find a bullet in our schools, I shared with some of the principals the other day, Michael Markham finds copperheads in his playground. Is that a threat?
It is.
Yes, it is. It is absolutely.
Always work, but snake
Willa Preston, who was, we're in Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah.
And we're surrounded by hills. That's a threat. So we take it very seriously when we respond to these things. What is our response to the threat? That's what's important.
Okay. Just make it quicker, go through, have what makes me feel better is have a plan on what is. I mean, it may be.
Listen, the lockdown doesn't make anybody happy, I can tell you that.
Okay. The radios.
Yeah.
Now, can you see that our educators get these radios? It would help you, it will help them.
We're already working on it. That's what I shared with you.
I applaud you.
I think that I speak for a lot of other people, probably more so than other people, but I will not send her back unless there is measures in place that will protect her in case your system fails her again. In other words, metal detectors, security officers, I suggested that the other day.
That would be a good idea.
To let me know that she's safe, regardless whether, not Garmin, but you and your school staff and personnel respond to a situation correctly. The metal detectors will pick that up before it's ever even into that school building for your school staff to have to respond to. Now, I'm not saying that they didn't do all that they felt like they needed to do. I have a family member that teaches there. The teachers didn't even know. They were not aware. She was making her students pile book bags up because she was unaware of what might be in a book bag. I'm not saying they didn't do what they needed to do to keep these kids safe, but you did not follow policy and procedure. I don't know what you thought you were doing by handing these handouts out today that clearly show you did not follow that. The lights were not out. They were not quiet.
Pull that out and tell
The
me.
building was not, I'm telling you, if you would drop your arrogance for a minute and listen.
I'm just asking to go over the.
You were letting people in and out of the building. People were not, it says be quiet. The light should be out. I told you all this on Monday, but you couldn't set your pride and your arrogance to the side. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about the kids of Martin County.
Well, I appreciate that, but all I'm asking is just to help me out with what point we didn't follow, and I'll try to respond.
Oh, ma'am, could I see your paper? Thank you. Okay. Students to be cleared from the halls immediately and report to the available classroom. That they did, that I understand, including the 8 to 10 students that went into the bathroom. They went into the classrooms with these students, okay? Assist those that need special assistance. I'm not sure whether they did, I wasn't there. Close and lock all windows and doors and do not leave for any reason. That didn't happen. People left. I have proof of that. And it wasn't because of a medical condition. Cover all room and door windows. That didn't happen either. Stay away from all doors and windows and move students to interior walls. That didn't happen either. Shut off lights. That didn't happen either. Be quiet. That didn't happen either. Do I need to go any further, Mr. Meadows?
No, please proceed.
Okay. Wait for further instructions. They did. They had to. They didn't even know the reason they were locked down. And email list of students who are missing from your room, in your room, belong to my understanding, that didn't happen either. I can't speak for all teachers, but it's my understanding not all teachers did that. So there were several areas of your procedure and policy here that was not followed. And that's not Garmin's fault. That's not Garmin's fault. That falls within the school system.
Again, we're going back over those, and the coach and the faculty staff at the high school are going back over their procedures. I mean, they just did one, I think, a couple days before, but I believe we did on those. Frankie, what do you got on that?
On the one we had done previously?
Or no, what we
those things you read, to my knowledge, I'm not aware of any of those not happening. We had done a drill, I'm just saying to my knowledge, I'm not aware of that not happening. The other thing is we had done a drill, I don't know the exact date, but I know we have to have them all done within the first 30 days. During that drill, we had Craig Grayson as well as Lee Galls up there to reevaluate our drill as we did it. Sergeant Carroll and myself basically portrayed gunmen. We walked around to the classrooms, we checked every door, we made sure every door was covered. There was one classroom that was a little bit loud. I had a key, I opened the door, I walked in and said, lights were off. I said, now hey, had I been a gunman out here, I would have shot this door handle off and I'd come in here and I got all y'all. We walked around to every classroom and checked them, made sure they were all locked.
That doesn't reassure me. Actually, that makes me a little bit more nervous that it.
This is a drill. You practice it, ma'am. You practice it so that when you have a real life situation, that you have to practice something before you hope the carryover continues.
I agree with that, but you practiced it a couple days prior to Friday, and there were still breakdowns. That's my big concern.
Every drill that is done, if it would have been perfect, we still would have had a meeting and reevaluate what could we have done better. It wasn't perfect by no means, ma'am.
Okay.
No means.
Sir,
never was
I don't
perfect.
expect it to be perfect, but what I do expect is for the chief to say, yes, there were mistakes. Here's what we did wrong. Here's what we're going to do to try to fix this.
I'm not the chief, but I'll tell you, there were mistakes.
Well,
and
maybe
we're
I should have been talking with
reevaluating
you all
it, and
along.
we're going to do everything we can. And there's nothing in this world more important to me than the kids being safe to school, period.
Me neither.
Basketball, nothing, none of that crap means anything to me for kids'
week,
safety.
but I'm still worried about the other
So,
ones that's been there.
Let me ask you something. What if Garmin hadn't have been there and Garmin would have been in somewhere else?
He wouldn't have been notified until 9 something.
What would have happened during all that time if something was going on?
Well, I think when it was initially brought to Dr. Laney.
Okay, he probably don't know what to do. He's new right now. Am I right?
He's the boss. He's the administrator over me.
Well, he should get $120,000 a year then.
And then he's the administrator over me, so I would have waited on his decision.
I think, I can't speak for everyone, I can speak for myself. I think that when we, as parents, are saying that we feel like it was done poorly, I feel like that when we say that, and like Jeanette saying that, there was breakdowns and there was this and you guys had practiced it, I think the biggest issue that from people I've talked to, from just being here today, is the time lapse from when the bullet was found in the lockdown. That's our biggest issue.
Yeah.
And I think that's the assurance. And I know Mr. Meadows said that absolutely now there will be a lockdown, but.
If I find a bullet, I'm going to run straight to the PA and say lockdown.
Well, I mean, I'm just
Not
saying.
lockdown, Mr. Weatherby's here. There'll be no hesitation. I'll knock people down to get to the PA.
Just tell somebody under me.
One thing I would like for you all to maybe, I would hope you would understand that we try to be educators stuff, but I'm telling you right now, we've got a staff that cares. We've got an administration that cares. Trust me, I pray every night that I don't mess up something the next day. So I hope that everything that we do when we deal with kids, that's why when I'm out there in the morning, I say good morning to every single kid that gets out of that car. I wave at every parent because I want their day to be good. I have a daughter, she's in college, but I would never want her to be uncomfortable or insecure. And if I were at Shelby Clark, my daughter was here. Now I know I'm up there, but if I were at Shelby Clark knowing what I know, I'd be fine with my daughter going to college. I mean, going to high school at Shelby Clark.
But that's like I said, I commend everyone.
We care. We care.
Honest to goodness, I've got a teenager, and everybody I have ever dealt with over there has been over backwards for me. And that's saying something when she's been there 4 years. So she's had quite a few teachers. So I commend you all, and I think you guys are doing a great job.
We're doing our best.
I think the teachers should all be commended after having to keep those kids in the room.
I think y'all deserve a parade.
And we're doing our best.
And even apple pie.
I even had where my son was, the teacher called the next day. She was calling all her babies, she said, checking on them.
We had some really good teachers.
And then we did try to, once we felt like we had the gentlemen, the people that were under consideration, I guess is the proper term, I went around to the rooms, opened the door, checked and said everybody's relaxed, you know. I was instructed to tell every kid to call home, let them know that you are safe, you know, you get your, no cell phone policies off right now, call your family, let them know you're safe. Now, I know there's all on Facebook, but you know that goes. So we did walk around, once we found out that the students did not, I mean, there was time for kids to get hungry, we lined up and we had people just, Terry Simpson and aides and everybody started putting, and the cooks started pushing pizzas down the hallway and taking them to every single kid. Then they called from the vocational school and we said, Martha, somehow get pizzas delivered and ordered. I went down to the vocational school, walked through, met with Ms. Williams. She and I together searched 3 of the gentlemen. You know, so we were, we were trying to hustle and move and bob and weave and do everything that we possibly could.
Isn't that the illegal search and seizure that you were talking about?
No, that would only, no, not under a circumstance like this. If you suspect somebody could possibly have a gun, everything's off. When the kids say,
So 3 of them got to the vocational school?
That's 3 of the kids that were notified that were identified on the camera, yes. And then I went down there and searched them.
See, anybody could have hit it. If they had a gun, they could have hit it.
I would say one thing too, that, see, nobody can guarantee 100% safety. We had this one school, had a armed guard, they had metal detectors, locked, all the doors locked. This guy come up, shot the glass out of the front door, walked through there, killed the armed guard, and walked through there and started killing children.
I understand that too.
And there's no way, and I pray and hope it never happens here, there's no way I can look at you and guarantee 100% safety anywhere for your child.
And I don't expect that. I do want to feel like she's safe. And I want her to feel like she's safe. And I keep going back to what if, and I think we all need to.
Yeah, we do.
Until we come up with a plan that is suffice in, you know, these situations.
I agree.
Had this been, this is the biggest thing, you know, had this been like Columbine.
Yeah.
The lapse in the time and the breakdown of the policy and procedure that is in place to protect our kids from ending up the next Columbine failed the students that day. So instead of sitting back making excuses why it happened, let's work together as a team to figure out what we can do to ensure the safety of our children that we're sending to you all to keep safe all day long. That's all I'm asking. You know, this could have happened anywhere. I understand things like that happen. I understand she's subject to that when she goes to school anywhere. I could move her districts. You know, I could move schools. She's subject to that anywhere. However, a lot of other places follow policy and procedure and take more safety measures to protect their children. And that's all I'm asking.
We're behind.
I just think
That's
that
all
we are.
I'm asking.
Well, Jeanette, like I brought up when we first started, in that procedure, it doesn't say anything of a time frame when the lockdown should start. So it's not that they didn't follow procedure. It's just that we, as parents, expect them to do it immediately. You know, that's, in our mind, we're thinking, well, it should have been done immediately. That's not on that paper,
If
that's
there's
not
a
on
blow
it.
up
It
front
doesn't
Monday
say
morning,
that.
it'll be done
So
immediately.
in other words,
It'll be
nobody in the school system knew what to do, really.
Well,
And as far as declaring.
so it's
In
not that they didn't do
the
it.
In the office, the principal didn't know, the superintendent didn't know, nobody knew.
Do a lot of
Okay.
things that they should have done.
I got a question. When we put these procedures together, okay, because we give you a lot of suggestions here, and I'm tickled with a lot of really excited with the radios, I mean, that really helped lift my spirits a bit, but when you get your plan together, does it have to be voted on, or can you as a board?
Site-based does policies for schools. I was on site-based for 3 years.
Yeah, okay. Well, can't the site-based committee go before the board, because
Well, no, there's a district, and then the school has to.
The district will do
And
this.
the schools have
Okay.
to fall under the district,
Well,
right?
no, what they're asking is, can they create others? They can create.
Yeah,
others. Really,
create a policy in case of locking it down, in case of weather. And this way, if it's on paper, now I'm trying to be a problem solver here, and I'm not real bright, so I only know one way to tell it. But if it's on paper, and this happens again, we're not sitting here saying, well, what if? We can say, this right here was not followed. Garmin didn't know, see, there's a lot of stuff I didn't know, he didn't know, you guys didn't know,
Well, no, we hadn't.
Well, the procedures you have now, we just got one, but it's not, that's not enough. It's not the time of lockdown, it's not
Oh, you
timely.
want to, okay.
Explain it, as a parent, and these people, they want to see it. Let everybody know what's supposed to be done.
If it's not in a policy or written down,
Yeah.
then there's no one to be held accountable for.
Yeah, and see, we have it on paper that way. I said, oh gosh, we forgot about that. If we mess up, God forbid, we can fix this.
And I don't think that should be a site-based decision if that is where it comes from. This is
This should
a
be our whole
policy or
school.
protocol
This is a whole
that should be
district.
for every single school, for every educator to follow the same exact protocol.
Proceed,
Because if you
yeah.
have one here and one here, then Garmin's gonna have to get 15 different plans. State police gonna have to get 15 different plans.
Yeah.
You need one policy and protocol for the whole county.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I spoke with a substitute teacher that had never seen that. Was
in
unaware
this?
of the policy.
This
It's in every
isn't
room.
much, I'll tell you.
It's
in
not,
every
it's
room.
very
not much,
vague.
it's not.
It's very vague.
But I'm just saying it's in every room.
Yeah.
So
But-
maybe she wasn't aware of it, but it's in every room.
But
And
can,
I'll make sure to tell our secretaries when we have
but are we gonna
subs to
fix
make sure.
this? That's what I want to, can we fix
Yes,
this?
ma'am.
And we're gonna fix this, and every parent will have a copy.
Are we going?
This is available to you now.
I got it in my hand, but
Okay,
are we,
the thing
this
that I've
right
added-
here is not enough. This is what we're saying. This is not enough.
What?
We wanna know, this is what we wanna know. And I'm gonna speak for everybody here, because sit here and listen.
Go ahead.
What we wanna know is when something is off color, is immediately shut down. We need to know a time frame.
And will you do it now, or will you have to wait till it's on
And
this
which
paper like that?
administrator in
Our-
school is responsible for it?
This is, we're wanting rules, kind of like rules. When you send them out to the kids, we've got policies. My daughter brings them home every
And
year.
if they don't follow them, they hear
And-
about it.
Well, yeah. What we want is on what our emergency management, this is what I'm gonna call it. What we're gonna do, if we find something bad, how long should it take to lock down, what the procedures? Let the parents know, we want to look at it, we want to know, these are what we're gonna follow.
The policy
These are
that's
not
in
good enough. What
place
you
would
put in our
have
hand
been
is not.
sufficient had they have followed it. If the bullet was found at 7:40, they locked the school down, none of those kids were bused to the vocational
Kind of
school.
revised.
None of those kids, if the policy in place was followed, it's sufficient. It would have protected our kids. It wasn't followed.
They're very vague though, like.
It is vague.
They're
It is
very
vague,
vague,
but-
they're very
but-
vague.
If they're educators, they should know that if they find the bullet, then
It's
they're
very
That's why I
vague.
said it should be a no-brainer.
It's very vague, you know. we
To me,
need-
that policy doesn't need to say immediately, because they should know.
Are we gonna rush this up?
I gotta go back and get.
Please.
What about the safety committee you spoke of on Monday?
And we're working, and we're continuing to go forward, and I invited you, you're absolutely, I'll let you.
How do you become a member of that?
What I just said, I'll let you know when we're meeting again, you're welcome to come and participate.
Please do.
I
Please.
mean, I've made that, invitation to you.
And I said on Monday, and I'll say it again, a lot of times mistakes happen because when you're on the inside of something, you don't see a clear picture. People on the outside sees it all. And if people in your position, Mr. Meadows, is willing to listen to that and willing to respect the person sharing that information and giving you their input and willing to make those changes that needs to be changed, then, I mean, that's
helpful,
good.
isn't it?
That's good.
Absolutely.
We gonna brush this up.
We can brush this up to the next side, basically. We need to find out when it is, because it's
Are we
it's over
going
to
to
the
feel
it's
okay?
over.
When we're finished here, you can come up and show me exactly what you're talking
I
about.
have a quick question, then you guys can do whatever. When does the site-based meet at the Sheldon Park? I know there's set days, and
I want
I
to
know
know
it's
who's
open
on,
to the
are you,
parents.
are they allowed to share who's on that site?
Yes, it's public.
Who's
Yes,
third
When is it? Third Monday?
Monday, but I'm not
Who
sure. if it's
sets
first
on
or
that?
third.
Who's that's
Of each month.
Who sits on the
And
bottom?
it's the third
The
Monday.
Monday.
Third Monday
And
of
there's
each month.
3 teachers and
Do you
2
know who those are?
elected parents.
Okay, who's
I'm
the
not
teachers
sure
and
who
who's
the
the parents?
elected one.
I know overall Tim Priest and
Tim
Ella
Priest is
Osborne
the parent.
and
Nina?
Nina and Marcy Hanson and Ken Osborne.
Ken Osborne.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I was a parent on site-based for 3 years. They're great meetings to go to, so.
But like
I
I
had
said,
some
this is
suggestions
you
before
point
we
out
go
from
to
parents that couldn't make it.
Not a site-based decision.
The next time they've asked to have
This
a
should be
meeting,
okay.
they want to work for it, it would fit the working parents, if possible. These are questions that I had sent from people that couldn't be here. They asked that the next meeting, any type of meeting like this be set to where the working parents can come instead of being there all day, 30 minutes before pickup. And then also, I had one parent to suggest that maybe the board or administration to consider having a guard outside when a lockdown's called to stop parents that drop off their children.
Well, not, yeah.
We tried that.
I think we can do better next time, and now,
Well,
Fred,
you
don't have it again.
learn nothing, I mean, is this our first is this our first, I'm trying to think, since I've been on the board.
This is the
First
first
time
time
this year.
I've
First
heard
lockdown, I
See,
believe we've
and that's-
had,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's gonna be rough patch, I mean,
Yeah.
because.
There's
Yeah,
gonna be
you're
some glitches we gotta take
Yeah,
care
I
of,
mean-
yeah.
Well, trust me, when you get this new plan together, and them books are 100 pages, and I've got Morgan and Johnson County coming to Mr. Meadows because the district's about the same. You're still gonna have plenty of mess-ups because none of us are perfect. And I just remind you that, one of the last shootings in Connecticut, it was actually a teacher's son to come in.
Right.
And he was exempt from the metal detector. For some reason he just, see, you just can't.
Well, for that much, someone could, I don't want that idea.
That's why we would like to know who it is.
Yeah, but you don't want to look back on it and think.
Say, we
if I
could
had
have done this, we
or
should have
if
done
I-
this.
Right.
But I think
If I
what you
would've done
parents
that.
are trying to say is like, we were talking that day that, how important it is for parents to stay away.
Yeah.
And I think that we expect the parents to understand that, but I think in return, they want us to understand, because that day I was a parent, plus, I'm not
And
the
communication could have been better,
Yeah.
because as
They want us to understand their fear as well.
when we did the reenactment, with Sergeant Carroll, myself, patrolling gunman, we did go from each room to room. We went everywhere. And there, like, for example, when we called it, we walked out, there was a teacher in the hall. She didn't hear it. I mean, she heard lockdown. She was on her way, but we were gunmen. Boom. She was dead.
Yeah.
I mean, so nothing's gonna be 100%.
Yeah.
So, but as we walk to the gym, our lockdown policy in the gymnasium is that the girls go into the girls' locker room, that's locked. The boys go into the boys' locker room, it's locked. We've double checked all of our doors, we've made sure that they're up to date and everything. And so, as I was saying that, when we go on a lockdown, had there really been a gunman, and I came through the school and found every door locked,
Yeah.
and then I walked up to the gym, up to my right, oh, there's 30 parents out there for me. Had there really been a lockdown, had there really been a gunman,
Yeah.
the parents that had came up,
Yeah.
I could just open the door and
That's
went,
what
boom. I'm just saying, so it's,
Well, I had to say, there was many of us who stayed.
Did you all get the all call that was sent? At 11:30. And now, when Mr. Galls reevaluated, him and Mr. Grayson evaluated our first lockdown that we did in training, his suggestion was that we have to add a message thing
Yeah.
for the parents to be sent out.
Well, that would have been nice if a message thing would have been sent out to the parents today.
If the parents
So
were
they
more
could have
informed.
attended this meeting, because a lot of people don't even know about it.
And it was
Okay.
that's what I'm.
But you all did get it, and one, I got it, but I didn't even listen to it. Did it just say you can?
I didn't get anything.
It said that the state police was there, and the police were there, and they were on lockdown, all the kids were safe. I mean, that was the gist of it.
It did kind of say that they're safe,
Yeah,
blah,
it
blah,
did say,
blah.
yeah, it did say.
Okay, so it did say that, but your thing is you'd like to maybe got it quicker?
Well, and also not even so much that as, I know that the first thing in your mind, if there's possibly a gun, oh, we gotta call the parents. I know that, I don't expect that.
We want to make sure it's secure first.
Right, that to me is what you should be doing,
Right.
but, and
that's the
there's
one-
where the lapse comes in with the
That's where we
timeframe.
think you failed,
Yeah,
because you did not make sure that it was secure, because you did not call the lockdown immediately as soon as that bullet was found. There was a time lapse. That is the part where we think, not you in particular, Mr.
Yeah, I didn't know about
That's
that.
fixed.
And like you
When I
said,
came back,
like you said, there was a bunch of parents
Yeah, I know what you're
outside.
saying. And I agree with you.
And like you
We
were
can make it better.
saying, you know, if a gunman went by and saw all those parents
That's
outside.
so
if
You have
someone had
my
come
word,
down
if I
and
find
told
a
us-
bullet, I'll set the Guinness Book of World Record for calling a
And it
lockdown.
shouldn't matter what the weapon is, because that's
Right,
what.
knife or-
Yeah, once
I
you
mean,
find a
that's
knife
what we were
laying
said.
around.
I mean, someone said that the
Is that
other
a
day, they
lockdown?
said, well, no, it was just a bullet, it wasn't a gun.
What if we walk in and someone's
I
laying a
brought
knife
up,
down?
what if someone brings a bomb strapped to
See, that
it, but they
becomes
don't
that one
have a
this
detonator?
stuff.
It's still.
Once somebody lays a
weapon
nunchuck there,
destruction.
once somebody lays a samurai sword there.
And like
I'm just saying, how do you determine one is a
What does it belong to, you come with me. Yeah.
And like, you know, Coach Smith, like you were saying, the 30 parents that were outside, I feel like, you know, I didn't go up there. I was one of the last parents, and I'm not saying for whatever reason, but I was one of the last parents to go to this, actually to the school, because once all the parents were let go up there.
Yes, ma'am.
But I feel like the parents who did go went because they were afraid for their children and had no information.
Oh, yeah.
And if.
I think if we
you
could
know, like
communicate with you all, that'd be
right.
fantastic.
Yeah, that's.
Once you said, like,
my
if it
issue
was
there.
in someone's mind to send the deputy down there, it should have been in someone's mind to send someone else down there.
That's a great
that
idea.
knew what was going on.
Well, ma'am, I came down there, actually, Mr. Superintendent and I both came down. I didn't make it past the bottom of the parking lot. And I was talking to the group of parents there, and then I was, I should have came on
Well,
down.
that's where the deputy told us to stay, so I did.
Right, I
That
know.
was after the fact, though. I mean, we were down there for an hour and something.
Yeah, we were down there.
Right.
It was
45.
It was almost 12 o'clock before
Well,
any parents went up there.
What we'll have like a meeting place where everybody, all the parents will meet. I mean, that's what we've already discussed and we're gonna take care of.
During chemical spill, I'm telling you, I think it went well, other than the communication between law enforcement and the parents. Other than that, it went smooth.
You know, Garner
And it was chaos.
everything.
It really was.
He came down there, he even showed us the bullet. He communicated very well with
Well, what
us.
it was they was wanting to know, Garmin didn't know anything. And then you got parents saying, oh, somebody, there's ambulance, our kids is choking to death, you got little, so you know, like you said, parents go, ah, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it does.
It wasn't Garmin's fault.
Right.
He had no clue what was going on. You didn't know who was hurt, did you?
No,
See,
no.
that's what I'm saying, is if he had more information when he was handling, it really wasn't that bad. I mean, you know, it went smooth. I was really tickled. You know, my grandkids go.
I was teaching that then.
But if he had more information to pass on to the parents, and let me tell you, children, these parents, there was traffic from Eden past Milo, and I am not telling a fib. That is the truth.
But that's like when Mr. Jones
Yeah.
said, have a designated place.
Yeah, and see,
Oh,
if you had more communication, that would have been fine too. When you say, I mean, I thought it went really well.
Maybe in the future, when we send out that call and explain the kids
Yeah.
are safe, for parents that are concerned, you know, we'll meet in the parking lot at the Royal Call you something to answer any questions.
I have a
Please
suggestion.
stay away from the school, something like that. Yes, sir?
I've got a suggestion for you. When you need to communicate with the public,
Yes, sir.
contact me. Because most people go to my website or my Facebook page.
Yeah, we do a lot.
We venture
So-
to page probably more
And
than
I don't hit
anybody else's.
Facebook.
Whatever,
What's going
whatever
on
we
in
put
the
together as a
county.
policy to the board, we'll do.
Because I can get the word to everybody immediately.
Yeah.
That's a really
I was
good
at the
idea.
dentist, my
And
son
rumors
seen on
were
Facebook.
flying. They really were. They found everything but a nuclear bomb in that school that day.
Well, I walked in one classroom and tell everybody, hey guys, everything's fine, lunch is coming. Is it true that somebody got stabbed in the hallway and there's blood up and down the halls? I'm like, no,
Another
that's
thing.
not true.
If I
just came
notify
out of
the
the hall.
public that everything's
Did y'all hear
okay,
that rumor too?
even the kids in the classrooms out down will see that and know that it's
There was an
okay.
active shooter on the roof though.
Yeah.
And that was Monday I had a guy that was working on the freezer. They told me that, they just make one in the roof, I went out there and this guy said, he's coming home time working on the freezer. And he said the food was thawing, then we didn't get it fixed, they would go ahead and fix it, but I tell them they ain't no freezer.
That's why I
Don, don't you
thought,
all, hey Don, don't you all with the county fire departments have a disaster plan already together? And look to see if there's not part in there, because there should have been part of the schools should have been in that thing too.
Yeah.
It very well may be there.
I mean, that's all I'm asking is, put it on this so that way I can look at it, and I'm not sitting here saying, well, why didn't you do this? Because this right here is like really vague.
Well,
We can do this, but add a little to it.
the school has.
Make it a little better. Tweak
It
it.
should have been, because that's where most parents was at that day.
Well, how hard would it have been though? I'm sure people in the board's office were notified before 11:30, before we were. After you seen that your children that were attending school that day and your staff and faculty was safe, your next obligation should have been to your parents that trust you with their children every day. So that call shouldn't have been generated at 11:30. I know that you all were busy and may not have been able to have initiated that yourself, but a quick phone call to the board's office here, hey, get an all call out to these parents, let them know what's going on, then we'll keep them posted. I know when my kid misses, hey, it's right on the money every day. I get it's generated to me. I want to know. That's my child.
And that goes back to the suggestion that I made at the elementary school this morning. Maybe every school needs a safety team where you have certain people who are designated to do certain parts of the task, whatever's at hand. Let me use, I'm a nurse, so I'm going to go back to my medical background. I'm going to use a code team as an example. When we have a patient who goes code blue, which means cardiac arrest, we have on the wall, you have, when you clock in or out, you have every person that is there to do recording of the minutes of how everything took place. You have a person who's designated for compressions. You have a person who's designated for the breathing exercises. You have the doctor that's on call. You have the nurse manager that needs to be there.
And you also have a family rep.
And you have a family rep who also, they go out and control the family. That would be a very good thing. And I mean, you might not be able to pick the teachers because obviously they're going to be fine classrooms with the children if you have to confine everybody in those rooms. But there are multiple office workers who can take very different parts of that action and come together as a team and detail every bit of that information to whoever it needs to be detailed to. Obviously Garmin or whoever the law enforcement is going to get more information than the parents, and they ought to, and that should be contained. But the parents should also get bits and pieces of it. Somebody should be able to call the board's office and say, Mr. Meadows needs to come up here, we have a situation. You know, those are all things that should be in that protocol. And those are just minute things that could be used to help our children be in a safer environment. And I understand completely, there is no way to be 100% safe.
That's great.
You can make it better.
It has to be detail oriented.
But you have to minimize every risk possible that you can think of. And yes, every time that something happens, that's a part of the process. You're going to go back and reassess the situation. You're going to evaluate, and then you're going to write a new protocol. If there was a failure, you have to write a new protocol. And I believe that that safety team would obviously be a very good commodity for this district.
That would be a good investment with the.
And you might not need to even have a security officer. I mean, there's lots of different things that you could actually implement or intervene in these types of situations, and it may not even cost anything. You could have, it'd be like site-based counseling. You could have parents, you could have teachers, you could have administrators, you could have law enforcement, you could have the county attorney, whoever you need. You could venture out there and have those people sit on those committees and develop some of these policies. I know with nursing or within the agency that we work at,
risk mitigation is a biggie.
Yes, and as long as we don't take away from what the state sets for us or what Medicaid sets for us, we can add anything that we want to it to make it better. We just can't take anything away.
Yeah.
So I think if the state has a policy and you think there's holes in it, or you or I, then we should sit down as a community, as a whole, and we should try to make it better. And every time there's an incident, you don't have to give personnel information, you don't have to give student information, you give a situation information, and then you take that situation and make it better.
Yes. That's all we're asking.
Yeah, like
We'll
what
do our
about
best to
tweaking
do it.
this, adding to this, because I'm licensed through the state too. We can't take anything from our regulations when we're regulated to do anything, but we can make it better. We can make it nicer, we can make it neater. You know, that's what I want with our policies.
We want to stand apart from everybody else. We want our children to excel. We want them to stand apart from any other district in this area, whether it be in education, whether it be in sports-related activities or whatever. But we also have to come together and make this the best place for any student to attend.
I love this place. I want to die here. I like it here, you all.
And I want to say this on a personal note, and I really mean this. My wife and I have been here 2 years, going on 3 years, and it really, really does feel like home. And there's nothing, how do I put this? I've become very, very attached to Martin County, and here's the reason. And it's basketball secondary, I promise you it is that our community, our school is our community.
Right.
Do you understand that? Our high school and our education, that's our thing. We don't have an amusement park down the road.
No.
You know, we don't have all that. Our school, our students, that's what defines us. So, and then sports adds to that, of course, and stuff. But when you talk about Martin County, you know, our school is the central thing. You know, so I feel very much a part of it and stuff. And like I said earlier, and I know that Mr. Meadows and Mr. James and I have talked about just talking about everything, we legitimately care, we legitimately want to get it right.
Right.
You know, and was there some slips? Yes, absolutely. But there won't be any more slips. There won't be repeats of this.
Let's hope they're
Yeah, of this exact same there. We'll look back, and if we found another bullet, we had to lock down tomorrow, we'd have another meeting, and then we'd look up next week and say, okay, we got it closed immediately, but maybe we should have got the call out earlier. Maybe we should have called EMTs earlier. Maybe we should have done this.
This probably could be a good thing, you all. I mean, it
But
would
we
work out the
legitimately
tweaks
care and want to
you know
make it
what I'm
right.
saying? We could get it right.
Not only in the aspect of everything that's going on right now, but in generalized safety, like the safety of our children.
Yes.
Of course, all these children have medical issues and whatnot, like me and her today. We took our, I changed my day at work to give up my Saturday to go work and be off today, to take our free time to go certify teachers at the elementary school in CPR so that we know that those kids in those classrooms, if something happens to them, that they are trained to be able to take care of them because they have our children in their hands.
And we also trained in some degree, because you have to take aside the educational level of the child. We also trained every child in that school that was in attendance today, with the exception of the second grade. We couldn't get to them because they had a parade. And we told them that we would come back on another Friday and do that grade level. I don't care to go around and do that at other schools. Yes, it was a very taxing day, but that's part of what I do.
That is needed.
We both work in community health relations, and that is very much needed. And that may be apart from the bullet, but it's still a safety measure that's being taken to take care of our children. Because when you're looking at safety, it's not about just the bullet on Friday. It is lots of different entities that takes place.
If you had had, I mean, if something had occurred with the bullet, say somebody got hurt, I would want to know that there was somebody in that school that's trying to take care of those children in first aid and CPR.
Right.
So I think that that's something that that y'all should look at. And like I said,
And we do have that in our
will
emergency
volunteer our time.
plan. Michelle Ray, a certified trainer, she had a degree in from Marshall. Coaches are CPR certified. We actually have to renew again this year. All the coaches have to be certified.
Yeah, I just renewed some of the Lawrence County coaches.
So we have to do that. The coaches have to be, you know, for our practice reasons. And there's obviously Coach Hager and Coach May and Coach Muncie and myself, Michelle Ray. So that's 5 people on the top of my head.
But if I was in a school, if I was in a classroom full of 30 kids or so, as the teacher, I would feel more comfortable knowing that, you know, if one of my students collapsed, after I call, you know, I can intervene.
Because the faster that they have a response to the emergency situation, the outcome is better. And if you've had CPR and you're certified in that, you know you have to react right away.
2 or 3 minutes.
So, you know, back in 2004, I know that our family had an incident at the high school. my cousin actually passed away in the classroom. He had an aneurysm. The teacher did not know how to respond to the situation. And love her heart, I know her very well, and I don't hold anything against her because that situation really affected her in a very negative way. And had she been trained and she tried to be able to respond to that situation, maybe that would have affected her later on negatively because she would say, I tried. You know, and I really think those are things that we need. I mean, and that goes back to what Mr. Meadows said, that now we're going to have an emergency response and they're going to be there if we have a lockdown and law enforcement. Those are just measures that we have to take.
Yes.
But I don't like Martin County. I like I've outlasted 8 of them, haven't I, Gary?
Are there any other questions or?
I'd like to say one thing, Mr. Meadows. I want to commend you guys for having this meeting to inform us parents, and I want to say thank you to Gary Ball and Donetta, the 2 board members that did show up that showed that they care. I know some of the others weren't and can't be here, but then I'm gonna hush right there.
What we try to do, and these 2 board members know that is, you know, if we would have, where 3 or more flock together, you kind of have a quorum, and it's not that all 5 cannot come to a ball game.
Right.
You just don't want to sit together because of the perception. You can do that, but it's never ever, you know, encouraged. So you just want probably 2 as representatives, and appreciate Donna and Gary being here, but as you know, I talk to the others.
We like you too, Donnie.
Well, next time there's a meeting,
I told them both before the meeting, I like the view out there a lot better than I do sitting out here looking out.
It's a target.
Yeah, it's a different view.
You're here to see, by the way.
That's what I asked if they wanted me to move.
Well, Mr. Meadows, will there be another meeting after the investigation is finished? Can I finish, please?
We'll have another meeting of safety. We've got some other partners in the community that have asked to be part of it, and we've invited them. And some of them are from local residents here who work in safety and security and law enforcement, criminal justice. So, yes, we're bringing in. And you know what? Somebody mentioned a while ago. Listen, folks, you know, we've experienced here in Martin County more than our share of
We know that because we've been here all of our lives, so we know.
Drugs and drug-related crime, then I don't know what the per capita is, but, you know, we just try to respond to it. I mean, it's happening here.
We know that.
We're just trying to respond to it as much as we can.
So after the investigation's over though, you are going to, are you going to let us know who is responsible for this, and are they going to be punished?
We'll probably never know.
Well, no,
I don't want to know that. I just want to know that the situation
It's been addressed.
for the next time.
If it's a shot,
Yeah, we would never identify the kid anyhow, or kids.
They may be 18.
It's very being tight-lipped. I'm telling you, I talked to my brother, working on board. Legally, they can't, it's juvenile, they cannot take those.
They may be 18.
If they was over 18, you would know who it was.
But
Okay, that's all I want to
If
know.
they're under 18, you will not know.
You will not know. See, it's, you just can't do it. Not even, the paper's not even allowed to print their name. Well, you know that.
Well, I know that. I mean, I'm not stupid. I do know that. But I'm just saying that I would like to know myself, because I know Paxton would, as a student, he would like to know.
Well, he would be there, would he?
Yeah.
No, let me finish. I started to say, as a student, he would like to know, because like he stated to me the other night, what if it was one of my friends or someone that I associate with? He said, I think we as students have a right to know for that reason. He said, because I wouldn't want to associate with them. It'd be somebody that he was around.
Well, I think kids are gonna know before anybody else knows. All that stuff gets around school.
Well, I know all that stuff gets around school, like a lot of other things. That's why I thought the purpose of this meeting was today. So we could come here and find out from Mr. Meadows the facts of what really happened. And so there's been a few answers about what happened at school Friday, but everything else has been talked about and not really a whole lot about what happened Friday.
Yeah, it's still under investigation.
Okay,
All right, so that's the key thing to remember.
But if they ever do find out who it is, they will be punished, right?
They have to follow policy.
No doubt.
They have to, yeah. They can't follow it.
Okay. Well, I would hope so too.